Hello. Okay, I think we're good. Chat's popping. My mic seems to be working. I'm physically present and in one piece. Hey everybody, it's Saturday, or at least it is here, and I'm here with the final stream of the week. If you are new and you're like, what's going on? This is your first time popping in. Hi and welcome, I'm glad you're here. You'll see that the first 30 minutes or so of the stream is exactly what you're getting now, which is literally just a yap session. And then around the 30-minute mark, that's when we get into today's topic. Today, unfortunately, we'll be talking about Armie Hammer's new movie, Elon Musk's push to make this a thing, basically make fetch happen, even though this movie is garbage, because not only is it Islamophobic and xenophobic and all these other things, but it also just looks terrible. And it was high key like banned for this reason, just for being hate. But like Elon was like, no, I love the xenophobia of it all. So actually I'm going to try to use Twitter to make it. It's a mess. So we're going to talk about that because I feel like even though a lot of people know about this, not a lot of people know about this. And then after we record today's video, well, I mean, this will actually be Monday's video probably. But after we record that, I have a couple of other topics for you as well. Non-video topics, just things I'd like to yap about. Some of the few things that we always talk about, like another AI literature scandal. I know I've already made an entire video about this, so instead of subjecting you all to another one, I figured we'd go over this one live on stream. A short story author accused of using AI. And I have to be honest, dog, I have no idea how this story was or was not written, but it's baffling, I will say that. Regardless of whether LLMs were involved, this is some of the strangest text I've seen. But yeah, shout out the literary world. We're never escaping this timeline. And then also I have a couple of articles I like to go over because they're stupid. They're about the word queer and people being mad at that word or something. I don't know, it's a little bit deeper than that, but I'm gonna go over those too because it turned into a whole like mini fight where you had articles coming out and then other people writing articles like, nah, we disagree with that. And I'm just sitting over here as a queer person like, oh, this is okay. So yeah, there's a lot actually to talk about this Saturday. I feel like usually Saturdays are my chill days where I have maybe one thing, but I don't know why. Today I'm just fully armed. I really am. Someone said, is this about that Ova Ball movie? Yes, it is, unfortunately. It's about that. It's about Armie Hammer. It's about Elon Musk. It's about Jonathan Majors, who we've talked about. Gina Carino, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. It's about a lot of things that are happening right now. I feel like this film is just truly a sign of the times. Truly a sign of the times. Someone said, I'm just disappointed it's not a cannibal movie. We could have gotten authentic cannibal rep. And if y'all don't know what that's referring to, I will go over it. There's like literally cannibalism allegations regarding the person we're talking about today. I think I'm used to all manner of other allegations, but the cannibalism was definitely new when that happened. Yes. It's a mess. I mean, like that aspect of it is almost comedic because he didn't actually eat anyone. Yay. The part that's not funny at all is unfortunately that was just part of a long line of allegations involving a lot of abuse towards multiple people, etc. So very, very not good stuff that we've got going on here, but I'll do my best to cover it all for real. Someone said, I've loved not hearing about Musk for a while. Honestly, same. I've been trying to like avoid him. It's just like he was a pretty big part of this story that I was telling today. And I was like, okay, fine. We'll acknowledge Twitter as a platform temporarily, but then I'll go back to acting like that hellscape doesn't exist. Truly, we should not be here, bro. We really shouldn't. Someone said, D'Angelo, how many hours does it take you to research plus make an outline? It is heavily dependent on the topic, and I'm also really bad at estimating. Like, something like this doesn't take that long because everything that's happened has been very well documented. Then there are other things where I feel like I'm single-handedly kind of researching everything, and that might take twice as long, but yeah, on average, obviously it doesn't take that long because I literally do 3 of these a week, which I'm pretty happy with, but like, sometimes the scope does get a little beyond me and I will end up having to push topics back. If you've ever heard me say I was going to put out a video and then it doesn't happen, that would likely be because I realized like, uh-oh, this is going to take more time. But yeah, I primarily seek out topics that are very quick and easy to talk about on this channel. Northwest. and I fear that I'm actually going to have to put it on my main channel probably because I don't know what happened, but this video just completely spiraled out of what it was originally supposed to be, and I don't even think that this channel's like the right home for it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to move the Love Island video to the main channel, chat. There's just too much going on. I've already watched over 26 hours of content for this new season, and there's like 20 different people to talk about and multiple controversies, and I'm like, this is not a third channel video. So yeah, I think I'm gonna main channel Love Island video, I guess. I literally have not even like logged into that channel in a couple years because I had no reason to do so. I was working on a longer video about Grimes, as some of you know, but now I'm just like, nah bro, we gotta move the Love Island video. I'm so tired. Someone said, how many channels does he have? I have D'Angelo, which is the channel that you're on right now. I have D'Angelo Wallace, which is what I consider to be my main channel, even though it's not my biggest channel. I have D'Angelo Wallace, which is all one word and not the same as the other D'Angelo Wallace channel. That's my biggest one, even though it was my second channel. And that is where I put even more video essay content. Haven't posted there in a few years. Probably won't post there again. So I guess like 3. You're watching my third channel right now. I also have a couple other channels too, though. Like I at one point was trying to do a podcast, so I have my Office Husband podcast channel. I at one point was trying to do a secret side project for all of you, so I made another channel and passed 100,000 subscribers just by mentioning it a bunch of times, but I never even uploaded anything there, and technically I feel as though I'm owed a play button, so maybe one day I will put up a video on that channel, but I think I renamed it. So yeah, like 5 channels, maybe 4 of which have over 100k, 2 of which have over 1 million. This one's coming for 1 million too. I don't even need to cross my fingers. I know it's gonna happen because we've been on a roll, seriously. But yeah, I'm notorious for channel hopping, for real. And people always ask me like, but like, you pop off so much on the channels, like how could you have like, I don't know, 2 million subscribers and then just start over? And I'm like, bro, because I will hit 2 million subscribers again. What do you mean? I'm not done. I haven't even gotten started, on God. Sometimes I subscribe to all of them. Good. Yeah, you, at the very least, I would say if you're like a new-ish viewer and you're not familiar with any of my channels other than this one, that's okay, because I mostly only been posting here. But whenever the helly I finish this Love Island disaster, I will let you all know, like, hey, that's not going to be here. I need you all to go back to my bigger channel. It's also funny because I know for sure that there are multiple subscribers to my larger channel that have no idea where I've been, probably think that I'm like, I don't know, vanished into the ether, or that I used to post, because I never really do a good job of like announcing it over there, which is so funny. So yeah, when I come back, for some people it'll literally just be like, oh my gosh, D'Angelo is back, and I'll be like, I guess. It's so funny though, like I ain't mad. Someone said, could you link all your channels so I can subscribe? Someday. Yeah, I will do that, probably. When I finish the next big video, I'll link that one for you. So don't worry, you won't miss anything. I swear. Someone said I can't find them either. That's what happens when you don't post. YouTube will like deprioritize, because it's like, bro, nobody's trying to go here. But don't worry about it. I will link everything for you. Someone said I hit my goal of 20 miles for the week. Okay, hello. That's a lot of mileage. That's really excellent. Someone said you're terrible at announcing, but the real ones find you. I am pretty bad at... don't ask me why. No, but bro, for real, 20 miles is nothing to sneeze at. That's an excellent goal, and hitting that is really, really cool. So happy for you. I think that was pretty much my first numerical goal, because I had been running on and off, and then I wanted to standardize it in a way that felt doable to me. And I was like, okay, 20 miles, I can do this, a while ago. And I did, and it felt really good. So shout that out. Someone said 20 minutes. No, 20 miles. Did I say 20 minutes? I can't speak or read. So Never hold me accountable for anything I say ever. Just kidding. Oh, you know, a pop culture topic that I probably won't be talking about, even though I think it is objectively the largest thing that has happened. Taylor Swift's wedding. Yay. Happy for her, I guess. I completely understand why it's such a big topic. I'm not knocking anybody. I just think, like, from a me commenting perspective, I don't have much to say. I don't know. Maybe as time goes on and more is revealed, there will be some sort of angle. But yeah, no, I feel like someone got married. And that happens all the time. So I'm happy for those people. For real, for real. Someone said, what, she married? Yeah, she did. She married Travis Kelce after what, like 3-ish years of being together, which is super cool. They definitely seem happy. So yeah. Marriage. Someone said, my mom told me yesterday. I was like, okay. I feel like I understand. She is literally one of the biggest pop stars, the most famous people living. So I'm not like weirded out that people are like into the wedding. I just like, I feel like if I was to make a video about it, it would literally just be me like, yep, she's real popular and she married this dude. It did happen. Some people were there and some people weren't there. And I just like, I don't think I have commentary. I don't think I have commentary on this one, to be quite honest. Someone said, wait, it happened. I thought it was still in the process. Yeah, she got married at Madison Square Garden, I think, which is neat. I wasn't there. Someone said there are photos. I've luckily managed to avoid them. I don't think there are photos, no, unless I was missing something. I looked into it, obviously, because I was like, okay, this is literally huge pop culture news. I'm sure there's some sort of angle, but I was poking around and like, I think they were pretty heavy on the no phone type beat. Because like, yeah, I don't think there's any photos of this. Someone said, what would anyone say? Yeah, I don't know. But again, I can't just enough like shout that out, bro. Someone said, how deep in the live stream are we? I'm on my phone, so it doesn't really say. I've only been streaming for about 17 minutes, which means in about 12 and a half minutes, that's when we're going to get into today's topic, which is nonsensical. Someone said, I thought Madison Square Garden, that was just the dinner, or I don't know anything about weddings. Yeah, I don't know. Like weddings, a lot of times will have the ceremony itself. That's where you actually walk down the aisle. And then afterwards, a lot of times you will have a reception. And that is maybe what you're thinking about. In my experience, at least, of having been to weddings, it's like, that's where you get the food and like bands. Well, you might also have a band during the ceremony itself, but yeah, I don't know. It's a vibe. Someone said people were saying she picked July 3rd to block Madonna's album. See, this is the level of internet discourse, stan discourse, and fan fiction that I just simply cannot abide. I know you're not saying that she did this, you're just saying people have said that she's done this, and I believe you because I see people saying things like this all the time. Would I believe that Taylor Swift has been strategic in blocking certain things from being on the charts at certain times? Yes, obviously. You can't accidentally be the #1 pop star in the world. But the idea that she was like, okay, July 3rd, that's going to stop Madonna from being popular. Like, people online are so creative, honestly. Sometimes I do feel like people should literally take up creative writing. Because, like, the storylines y'all come up with, they don't make sense and they're not rooted in reality. But I would watch the heck out of them as a TV show. I really, really would do that. That's an interesting concept, but I can almost promise you in a non-parasocial way that that is not why. That's not why she got married on July 3rd. It would be so difficult, low-key, to pull that off. Oh my gosh. Someone said, I love that some fans believe every action of everyone revolves around their favorite artist. It's so funny. Literally, like, some things in this world don't have to do with all the pop singers in the world being in a beef with each other. Sometimes things just happen. I swear to God, they really, really do. Reading chat. Someone said Armie Hammer is a dark hero in real life and the movie. Yeah, I would have to disagree on that one, unless you're being sarcastic. As you see, there's not a lot going on there in terms of Armie Hammer defense. Someone said, do some people not know how long wedding planning is? That's the thing. I literally feel like, okay, now I feel like I've tricked myself just now into Taylor Swift wedding discourse, but I mean this in a non T-Swizzle related way. Do y'all know how long it takes to actually like plan on a wedding? A lot of times the date is agreed upon way in advance. And just going off of timelines, I probably think high key a wedding date of that magnitude would have been picked long before somebody's actual album release. Because yes, you do have to pick album release dates pretty early, usually, but like, dude, probably when Madonna announced her album was coming July 3rd, Taylor Swift's wedding was already fated. It was already in the stars. That's what I feel in my heart, even though I don't know anything because I wasn't on either of these management teams. So someone say engaged and planned within 2 months. I mean, like, maybe, but yeah, nah, y'all wild as hell. Someone said, I just came from your Tony stand-up video. Thank you for being on the front lines of that hot garbage. Bro, I tried to absorb the cringe for y'all. I tried to be like a shock absorber. That one was a rough watch, buddy. Excruciating watch. But thank you for watching my video, at least. My God. Someone said people just want to pit women against one another constantly. It's exhausting. Yeah, that's actually a really huge thing that I have to make sure that I'm not playing into when I make my videos, because like a lot of fan discourse, and it's worse for some people than others, but a lot of fan discourse is literally like stans making up narratives to make these women out to be like evil or hating each other or whatever. And I just like, well, like, is it overstepping if I say that just reads as extremely misogynist to me, even if, by the way, women are totally capable of being in beefs and blocking each other, and I don't know, acting the way that sometimes people assume they are, but to assume that they are always doing this has always just rubbed me the wrong way. And so I really try to stay away from those videos where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know, Gracie Abrams, and I'm just picking like another completely unrelated artist, Doechii, must be beefing, because if you look at the third line in the third track of each of their third albums, like they seem to relate to each other. That joint just pisses me off pretty bad, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I shouldn't even be happy that people would be hating each other on this level anyway. Celebrity beefs do exist for sure, but certainly not as many as the internet is convinced are happening all the time. Someone saw the snake bites newer, did not notice until now. They look great. Thank you. They are not new. Well, they're new-ish. I've had them for, I think, a couple months at this point. But I appreciate that. I'm really happy with these piercings. Someone says it's deaf-rooted in misogyny, given it's a common trope at that point. Someone says, I do feel like T Swift encourages that behavior, though. This is where we get into the multiple things are true angle of it. That makes it really tricky to talk about online. Because I don't even think her fans would disagree with this. Taylor Swift is ruthless as hell. Respectfully, from a business standpoint, she is genuinely phenomenal at getting people to talk about her and remaining in the public consciousness. And she's like the furthest thing from stupid. I don't even believe like anything that seems to be an accident with her is usually not, because she's so good at being like, oh, people are going to talk about this one thing. So simultaneously, while yes, I do believe much or a lot of Taylor Swift discourse are things that she very like calculatingly was like, oh, people are going to go crazy over this. That doesn't mean every single thing that she does falls into this category, especially not when like we're reaching seemingly with the goal of proving that she's just like constantly I don't know, hates all other women artists at all times. And someone says she's ruthless and has a big ego and admits to it in her music all the time. Yeah, these things are true. That's not something she would disagree with. So I understand where people come from. I just don't want to be that like dope online who's like, oh my gosh, guys, I think that Taylor got married on the 3rd to block Madonna's album. Didn't I feel a little silly? I feel a little goofy. Someone says she's a great businesswoman. Yeah, she is. That to me just feels, obvious. You can say what you will, and you should, by the way. I think a lot of the criticism that she gets is valid because being a great business person isn't the same thing as being a great person. You do have to make a lot of decisions if you're choosing success over certain other things that are simply going to be bad for everybody else and also the environment, aka everyone else. It is not lost on me that Taylor Swift gets, in circles that I operate in, more flack for things that really I would love to see the same amount of energy for certain other people. I just think the thing is too, when you have these other billionaires, literally billionaires, who also have the carbon footprints that are just insane and untenable and all this, and they're not even bothering to try to seem like they're offsetting it in any way because these people aren't also famous musicians with millions of adoring fans. They just kind of scoot by, and it's easier for people to direct their ire towards the one they know, I guess, is how I feel about a lot of that. So it's not me saying I think we need to be nicer to Taylor Swift. I don't know about that. It's more so just like there's still a double standard. Even if you are a billionaire, yeah, an actual billionaire, I don't think it makes sense to say you're immune from the double standards of misogyny. I don't think so, because that's not consistent with my sort of intake of Taylor Swift discussion. But yeah, me and my anti-capitalist self, I'm super down for the Taylor Swift criticism. I just wish people would stand on business a little harder with everybody else as well. That way I wasn't getting the weird feeling that like, oh, do some of y'all just hate her because she's there? It's tricky. So many things happen at once when you start thinking about her, and it's okay. It's all right. It's understandable. What can you really do? Someone says it should be equal energy regardless. For sure, for sure. That's how I feel anyways. But what do I know? I'm no billionaire or superstar pop singer. I've made precisely 0 things as popular as Taylor Swift's least popular song. Someone said nuance for sure. Misogyny is still real. Even if all billionaires are evil, there's still degrees of evil. Yeah, that's how I feel. It's just multiple things being true. Like, it's all true. To me, anyways. Someone said all these celebrities irk me. They probably should on some level. I would agree. Someone says, would you ever make a longer video about Nicki Minaj's discourse? She has a lot. I've talked about this before on the stream, but as of now, no, because I just don't. I get the most peace out of simply not paying attention to Nicki Minaj. I categorically condemn all of the talking points that she has aligned herself with. They're hateful and bad and embarrassing, honestly. As well as her just defending multiple people in her life who she should not be. So yeah. But right now, me making a video about that, I just don't. I don't even have much to say because the attention is playing so much into it as well. It's not good, bro. It's not good. Someone said, what about trillionaires? Yeah, well, how fitting that we're talking about Elon Musk today, right? Messy. Someone said, is it a double standard? Yes. Do I enjoy all the memes about it? Also, yes. Real. Someone said off topic, but your sweater/jacket with eyes all over it inspired me to embroidery a zip hoodie with glow in the dark eyeball embroidery. That sounds super lit. No pun intended. That sounds dope. So I'm happy. And someone said, and the wrath of the barbs can be a lot. Well, that too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not scared of any fan bases or anything like that, but Sometimes I don't want to deal with people's annoying selves. No. Do I actually feel like, okay, yes, now's a good time and I'm going to enjoy having the barbs in my comment section defending MAGA, talking points, and pedophilia and all these other things? Sometimes I just don't feel like that. I just don't feel like going through that. So nah, I'm not gonna poke that particular bear right now. Maybe if I feel as though at some point I have some sort of point or angle that is strong enough to where I can be like, yeah, people are going to be annoying about this, but I still feel the need to say this, then I would do it. But for now, I'm just like, man, it would just be like everyone already either knows or and they care, or they know and they don't care, and it's like, what am I going to do? Someone said, is he still a trillionaire? Didn't that stock trash? I can't read. Is he still a trillionaire? Didn't that stock crash, not trash? Maybe that was just a Freudian slip. Anyways, bro, I don't know. I do not keep tabs on this man's wealth, or if I did, it would just upset me to no end. All right, I am gonna turn this on right now. Someone says, speaking of billionaires, Beyonce dropped a song today. It was good. I liked it. I love R&B though. You know me, I always say the same things of like a simple R&B ballad. You basically can sign me up. I don't know that it's my favorite genre, but it's certainly one of my favorite genres. Like I don't know. I love it. And I also feel like it's an underdog genre. As much as people will like not like certain other ones, which is fine. I feel like a lot of people just don't get into R&B for some reason. I'm like, I swear to God though, you can have songs about anything. You can have like love songs. You could have like mental health songs in R&B. You could have, I don't know, like art pop vibes. I just love R&B. I just shut up. Nobody asked. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my outline up because I think we can get into today's topic in a second. Someone said, oh God, not Armie Hammer. Oh, did you just join because like you're just in time for the Armie Hammer discussion? Sorry about it. It's very cringe. All right, let's see. Yeah, agenda. Oh, wait, that's my agenda. That has my other topics. I need my outline. Okay, there we go. Drink some water. Someone said R&B never fails. Most every song goes off. R&B is a case where there's a formula and it works on me. That's the thing. A lot of things I feel like are very formulaic and it pisses me off. But some things are formulaic and it makes my brain happy. I'm like, yes. Anyways, everybody say hi. Say hello right now. I started recording and I'm going to go ahead and record my intro. Oh, buddy. Whoa. Okay. The abuse allegation to MAGA movie star pipeline is alive and real, and Armie Hammer appears to be the latest convert into this just mess of the film industry for Trump stands, really. Right now, we're going to be talking about Citizen Vigilante, which is every bit as cringe as it sounds. If you don't know who Armie Hammer is, this is your last chance to run away. Unfortunately, I'm going to be giving you a rundown of how his fall from grace literally needs to be studied, and now he's working with who many people have deemed to be one of the worst directors of all time. So let's just take a look at all of that. Oh, and how could I forget? The movie released was so very xenophobic and Islamophobic that Elon Musk has now joined the fray and is single-handedly trying to make fetch happen by getting everybody to watch this. So, as if it couldn't get worse. All right, there we go. That's it. No more highs. I'm done introing this. I think Armie Hammer literally creeps me out, on God. Like, he actually does scare me. And so hopefully the faster we can get through this, the better. I won't rush, but I certainly won't linger. Someone said, I don't even know who we're talking about. Then this is for you. So Armie Hammer is an actor, kind of a weird dude, as you're going to see. He had a very, very successful career until it came crashing down in the midst of allegations that were made against him and his various bizarre responses to these. Pulling this right here. I would be remiss not to point out that he's also definitely a Nepo baby. His father, Michael Armand Hammer, owns several businesses, including Hammer Productions, a film and television production company. So I'm sure that helped his career a little bit. But what did not help his career is single-handedly, or is overnight becoming known as the cannibal guy. Sadly, is where he's at now. Pulling this 2023 headline: Dakota Johnson jokes about Armie Hammer cannibalism allegations at Sundance. How exactly do you get from point A to point B? Let's take a look. Someone said, why are we talking about baking soda? Yeah, it's not Armand. Even his name is literally Armand Hammer, or Armand. Actually, I don't know how to say that, but it's not because of the baking soda, which I think is great. And in another world, he could have just been some funny guy. So without a doubt, I feel like Call Me By Your Name is like the biggest film, or at least the one that I associate him with the heaviest. And it's actually a pretty good benchmark for just how severe his fall off was, because this film also starred Timothée Chalamet. In fact, at the time, Armie Hammer was billed above him. And since then, of course, Timothée has gone on to, let's see. It's not loading. There we go. Reach new heights in his own career. Look, definitely there is a lot to be said about Timothée Chalamet and his many pros and cons, but I don't think anyone could disagree with the fact that his film career has been popping off for a while now. Obviously, you've got Dune, the cinematic masterpiece that was Wonka. Just kidding. I didn't watch that movie. I'm not gonna lie. Pulling this IMDb. But Armie, on the other hand, kind of fell off the face of the earth after 2021. You see, he was in Death of the Nile, which I'm pretty sure was already in production before the allegations, and then nothing in 2023, a music video at one point, and basically only Citizen Vigilante as like the major movie to garner any sort of acclaim is not the right word. Attention, controversy, backlash. Yes. Okay, so the allegations, man. So pulling up the allegations. So let's just get into it. I would like to give a trigger warning, mostly for rape and sexual abuse allegations, because even though, as you're going to see, the cannibalism thing became the larger part of the story, there is actually an undercurrent of very real and very disturbing things going on here. I'm gonna pull this over here. So, as broken down by people in 2021, oh, okay, goodbye. In 2021, text messages surfaced in which he was sharing allegedly like BDSM fantasies and also cannibalism fantasies of like wanting to eat the people he was romantically entangled with. That in and of itself, I don't even feel like I have any sort of opinion on. However, what happened was it started this domino effect of multiple people coming forward with increasingly dangerous or increasingly more serious allegations from there. He exited a film that he was working on, and in 2021 in January 14th, sorry, I literally can't speak. He exited the film that he was working on, and shortly thereafter, his ex came forward saying, he said to me he wants to break my rib and barbecue and eat it, which again is like, dog, this is actually wild. Then he exited another thing that he was working on, and he got dropped from his talent agency. He got recast in something else that he was on. Vanity Fair put out this article kind of going into his whole family history. Actually, there's a documentary about it. All of these people be weird as hell, I won't lie to you. But then in March of 2021, he was accused of rape and physical abuse. And these are the allegations that he's never really moved past. It says, Effie, the woman behind the Instagram account House of Effie, accused the actor of sexual assault during a 4-hour incident that she said occurred in 2017. Again, he just continued to get dropped from things, including Broadway, etc. So you get this really weird mishmash of like, oh, this is funny is not the right word, chat, and I'm not making fun of this, but just like, this is stranger than fiction. This really famous dude keeps sending women messages about how he wants to eat them, mixed with like this absolutely inexcusable these absolutely inexcusable allegations that have followed him around. So he got sued by American Express, essentially because he wasn't able to contractually or they said that he is like running out of money, essentially. It says in October 2022, they alleged there was an unpaid balance of tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to get into that in a bit in an interview he did where he said at this point, he was literally just like unhireable because his name meant cannibalism. In 2023, that would be the interview he gave. Dog, this interview, I swear to God, is stranger than fiction. It's a whole long form piece, which I am absolutely not going to get into. I'll give you the highlights. Oh, where did my... Okay, hold on. Okay, we got there. And anyways, I think as of now, he was investigated over the claims of sexual assault. Various parts of this were like brought up, dropped, etc. But essentially, no one has actually cleared him of this. It was said by the district attorney's office that they weren't able to prove that anything happened because these things are often incredibly difficult to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I would just like to say that doesn't mean that he hasn't done anything either. So that's really all I can say about those allegations. Pulling this right here. It says right here, as prosecutors, we have an ethical responsibility to only charge cases we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. We know it's hard for women to report sexual assault. Even when we cannot move forward with the prosecution, our victim service representatives will be available, etc. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine when it does come to people talking about charges being dropped or investigations ending without conclusive results. And a lot of times when people have fans, they will point to these things and they'll be like, see, the charges got dropped. My fave would never. And it's like, I need you guys to realize that for things like this, it literally means nothing in terms of like whether your fave did anything or not. Someone said, I feel like I'm going crazy every single day. This is glossed over and there's nothing anyone can do. Yeah, no, I don't like the way people talk about investigations and charges because it's not helpful. Moving forward from this. So as far as like, how has Armie Hammer been taking it? Not that I'm super concerned. He has maintained that yes, he was emotionally abusive. He's acknowledged and admitted that in those very words. But no, he didn't like do the things that people said he did, I suppose, referencing these sexual assault allegations. And he came forward in 2023 and said, well, I was abused in childhood, actually. And so because of this, you know, I wound up not having a normal relationship with sex and all of these things. But he maintains every single thing was discussed beforehand. I've never thrust this on someone unexpectedly, never. And with regards to all of the projects he was dropped from, it says he concedes the chances of his resurrecting his acting career are extremely small. No one will hire me. No one will insure me. I can't get bonded for a project. Nothing. And no one will touch me because if they hire me, then they are the people who support abusers. I guess somewhere in Hollywood hell, a match was made actually because somebody decided to take a chance on Armie Hammer after all of this time. And this is where the story just starts getting stranger than fiction. I've already used the idiom stranger than fiction. I'm running out of words. Uwe Boll. If you... Okay, wait. That's a full screen pop-up, which I want to go away. No, I'm not trying to support The Guardian for $3.45 a week. Okay. Maybe later. Uwe Boll, the world's worst director, as per not just The Guardian, but almost everybody unanimously. If you have never had the displeasure of becoming familiar with Uwe Boll and his antics, he basically just can't make a good movie and is notorious for this, and for like literally fighting anybody who dares to suggest that his stuff is trash. Following a career stretching back more than a quarter of a century, taking in more than 30 movies, that famous 2006 incident in which he literally fought his critics, I'm talking literally like, if you have a problem, then come box me. And the unique Worst Career Achievement Award, Razzie, in 2009, he actually also announced his own retirement back in 2016, saying, "The market is dead. You don't make any more money. You don't make money anymore on movies because the DVD and Blu-ray market worldwide has dropped in the last few years. That is the real reason. I just cannot afford to make movies." Of course, some of this may have to do with the fact that, as it says in The Guardian, the Canada-based filmmaker who has long used German tax shelter laws to keep working despite his movies routinely failing to break even at the box office, it sounds like his usual strats of pushing out trash weren't working, and so he had to take a break. Someone said name drop his other movies. I don't know him. Okay, even if I start mentioning Uwe Boll movies, you're going to become more and more confused. Here, I'll give you one. How about Alone in the Dark, 2005, an adaptation that, according to Wikipedia, is considered to be one of the worst films ever made. I think he pulled a lot of inspiration from like video games that he would turn into movies that were so bad the fans of the video games were just like, why would you do this? Yeah, I really no one should have ever heard of this dude. Reading chat. Someone said cut to Paul. No one will hire this guy. Great, I can work with this. I wonder how much his casting process relies on underpaying actors. Well, I don't know, but regardless, it didn't take much money to produce this new film. Hold on. So I'm pulling that right now. So what did Boll and Hammer cook up? Enter Citizen Vigilante, a 2026 independent vigilante film written, produced, and directed actually by Uwe Boll. Starring, and this is the part where it just gets so incredibly bigoted, starring Armie Hammer as Michael Sanders, a vigilante enraged by the breakdown of law and order, who targets criminals and rapists, most of whom are Muslim migrants, and the corrupt officials who protect them. So, yeah, it's like Batman if he specifically hated immigrants. Yeah, this is what you paid $2 million to produce. So I guess Armie Hammer probably was not taking home his usual A-list actor pay, but I guess this was worth ruining what was left of your career for. Someone said that's so on the nose, dog. Dude, we're not even trying anymore. The film was released in select theaters in North America. I had no idea this happened, I'm not gonna lie. And it received overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics who criticized its plot, execution, and anti-immigrant message. But, of course, it was praised by several conservative figures and publications. Quick, act surprised. One thing that I think is insane about this movie, I recently watched another film that I think had the exact same budget. I need to double check this. We talked about it. Wikipedia 2025. Yeah. Oh, nah. Okay. Obsession literally had a fraction of the budget. It had less than $1 million. And yet, despite seemingly costing twice as much to produce, yes, obviously, by virtue of being an action flick, it's going to have a little more going on. But I swear to God, whereas Obsession looked great for its budget and really proved money should not be a limiting factor, Citizen Vigilante looks... I gotta mute this. Citizen Vigilante looks terrible. I'm not just saying that because I disagree with the message. Obviously, I disagree with the message. It's just everything from the color grading to the actual quality or lack thereof is like, where did the money go? That's all I would like to know. Somebody got ripped off big time. Someone said 2 million and that's what they made. Yeah, no, y'all have truly lost the plot. So I would say, if I had to guess why a movie like this will not perform well, it looking terrible is pretty much the biggest reason. But despite this, yes, some anti-immigrant conservatives have actually been trying to hail this as like some sort of big win for cinema because, and I kind of hate how this wound up being the best thing that could have ever happened to this movie. It was effectively banned in Germany due to its anti-immigrant message. And because of this, now people are like, oh, since this movie is being banned in lost countries, it's a must watch. Banned in Germany. Now I know it's going to be good. I don't like Uwe Boll, but if this movie's banned in Germany, it's probably doing something right. I will watch it. And I'm just like, dog, this is just sad. So let's look at what banned in Germany actually means, because it's not really that simple. Someone said even the title is chilling, encouraging xenophobes to be violent. Yeah, I think what's pretty bad is this isn't the only xenophobic movie that we're getting in the short span of time. I recently talked about Jonathan Majors and his new Daily Wire thing. We're going to bring that back up in a second, but y'all are just getting pretty bad. This is where Elon Musk enters the picture. Why Elon Musk is obsessed with this violently xenophobic Armie Hammer movie. Citizen Vigilante, the bizarre movie that took over Elon Musk's brain, explained. Keep reading with a Vox membership. How did I read it without a Vox membership before? Okay, hold on. I'm going to do my little scam. Just kidding, I'm not scamming. I'm just using the archive to find a non-paywalled version of this. Okay, yay, better. Someone said, I hate how Nazis have gotten this bold. It really is the emboldening of this rhetoric that is probably the most jarring part of it to me. Anyways, dear God, I'm gonna cry. A violence anti-migrant propaganda film was a smash hit on Apple and Amazon over the weekend, and the online right is celebrating. The film, sorry. I think the heat is frying me, dude. On God, I think the heat is frying me. I feel insane right now. I'm not hot right now. I know I'm wearing a beanie and a hoodie and it looks like I'm inappropriately dressed, but actually it's fine where I am here in my little room streaming for all of you. But actually, I've had to go outside a few times recently, and I feel like it's literally killing me every single time. I don't know if you know, but the recent heat index for where I live in North Carolina, in other words, the temperature that it feels like outside, was 113 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 45 degrees Celsius, for those who may not know. It's 113 degrees outside. I don't want to do anything. I didn't want to go outside. I enjoy my job insofar as it's I enjoy it in a vacuum, but I didn't even want to do any work today. I just wanted to remain in my bed. I'm being so fried. Someone said 45 degrees Celsius is the heat index temperature. And it was like 40, just the normal temperature, but it actually feels like 113 degrees. Oh, man. Oh man. Someone said, huh, it's like 90 here. Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on, man. I think I'm drinking enough water. I don't know why it zaps my energy this way. And I'm literally from Texas, by the way, so it's not like this is the hottest it's ever been for me, but this does happen to me routinely every time we get around summer. Sometimes my energy on a day-to-day basis is just super, super screwy. Super screwy. Someone said the humidity is the real killer. Yeah, it's also been slightly humid here as well, which has not, and I mean not, been good news. Here, I'm gonna look at the temp right now. Okay. Okay. See, look, hold on. I got some info for you. I'm going to I'm gonna screenshot this and send it to you right now because like I need y'all to understand what I'm dealing with, dog. I mean, you do because a lot of you also just got hit with a crazy heat wave in multiple other places, but hold on. And you know what I told myself? I was like, D'Angelo, everybody has to work today. I mean, maybe not today because it's Saturday, but like we all we all have to put up with the temperature and use our brains anyway. Okay, here. I just took the screenshot right now. I just took the screenshot. This is on my phone. This is what happens when I open the weather app. Let me go ahead and convert these for you guys. 97 F to C is I guess like 36 degrees Celsius or something, but it actually feels like 100. I don't know if you can see that. It feels like 112 degrees, and that is let's see, this is satanic. Yeah, 44.4. It is currently outside. It feels like it's 44.4 degrees Celsius. So like ha ha ha, oh my god. What the hell? You know, like I can't. So I'm working housekeeping right now. See, a lot of we're all dealing with the heat. I think we're all fried currently. Someone said it's 53% humidity. Yeah, wait, I don't know what the humidity is right now, actually. I'm gonna check. Oh, mine says 52%. Yeah. But it's been a little bit higher too recently. It really has. Someone said not having any AC right now is a nightmare. That I couldn't. Well, I guess I can sort of imagine because technically my AC is not running right now because it's loud and I don't want it impeding my stream quality. So, oh my gosh. Anyways, sorry, so sorry, for stopping and ranting. I was like, why am I struggling so much? Why am I so tired? What have I done wrong? Someone says it's text 53% humidity. Sounds nice at this point. Well, dry heat is not much more fun. I will agree for sure. Anyways, let me close all these temperature tabs. Let me go back to this Vox article. My God. And someone said this weather's dangerous. It really is, though. Reading chat. Someone said those temperatures are so weird for me. I hope everybody's doing okay with that weather. We definitely are. Someone said, how are you wearing those layers with the AC off, bro? I have the fan going, honestly. And also, like, this is gonna sound stupid, but I'm like an old pro at this. There's something about being a depressed teenager in Texas in the middle of the summer, which is I think how I spent my entire adolescence. You just get used to wearing a hoodie anyway. Even though it's hot. It's not hot in here where I am right now, but like trust, I will put on layers when it's warm. I don't care at all. Reading chat. It's almost 75% humidity for me. No, that's wild, dog. 75%. Goodbye. Sometimes I feel like I'm swimming through the air outside. It's thick. Yeah. Anyways, quite enough of that. I swear. We all good. We're thriving. I'm still doing my job. I put up 3 videos this week. I did, and they were good videos, by the way. I'm on my 3rd stream. What else? I ran every single day. Like, I was running from my problems. My God. Someone said former depressed teen in Florida can't relate. I went to school in 3 layers. Yeah, no, on God, you can pry my sad clothes off of my not cold dead body, but in this case, I think it would be a warm dead body. Oh my God. Reading chat. Someone said like being a young goth in Texas ain't hard enough. Anyways, I hope that this comes across as empathizing and not complaining, because literally everyone I've spoken to, from my mom to my friends to various other people with all different jobs, we're all saying the same thing. And I also feel like some of my friends are struggling even more with this because they don't have like, AC, unlike me and the people here. So like, we gonna be good. Moving forward, moving back to this. I'm just gonna have to cut this entire part out of the video. Let me just take this Vox article from the top because I was doing well. I really, really was. Why Elon Musk is so obsessed with this violently xenophobic Armie Hammer movie. Probably because Elon Musk would also be xenophobic, but hey, let's see if my mind has changed. So Vox kind of goes in on, hey, worst director in the world, teaming up with Fallen from Grace, Armie Hammer, to produce Citizen Vigilante. And the response to this on Elon's social platform has been like predictably strange. It maybe is the best way I can put that. Citizen Vigilante has now surpassed the Michael movie, posted online provocateur libs of TikTok, which is not a liberal account, I promise you. Conservative media personality Patrick Bet-David described the film as tapping into, quote, the rage millions of people feel when their own government won't protect them or their kids. Ironic. Turning Point USA contributor Jack, okay, who actually cares, said that while, and this is such a take, while Sinners is a movie about killing white people and has the all-time record for Oscar nominations of any film in history, Citizen Vigilante got banned. Now, of course, the ban that they're referring to essentially is the fact that Germany just didn't rate the film. And by not assigning the film a rating, it wasn't able to be shown in theaters. This is the big bad ban that everybody is referring to here. I don't really think they're the same thing. As it says right here, Citizen Vigilante was denied a rating in Germany, effectively barring it from wide release there. I don't think anybody actually cares about this movie as much as all of these weirdos are trying to convince us that people care about this movie. Someone says it feels like they didn't really watch Sinners. Yeah, no, and I'm sorry. I've been trying to move past the Sinners quote, but some things are too stupid to respond to, and some things are too stupid not to respond to. The movie objectively is not about killing white people. I don't know how to say this without spoiling. I think the most I'll say is Sinners is just, it's a pretty dark and violent movie for everyone. How about that? That's my spoiler-free rebuttal to this. I don't think that y'all watched this movie because it's definitely not about, oh, only these people catch smoke. Nah, bro. But, you know, it does say a lot, however, that you're trying to frame this movie this way, because it does recognize on some level that you understand Citizen Vigilante is actually literally about killing Muslim people, which is so warped and disturbing. Someone says you can spoil it. Nah, I want you all to watch it. My non-spoiler review, hella people die and they're not all white. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Anyways. So says Vox, conservatives are excited about Citizen Vigilante because they see it as a corrective to mainstream liberal pop culture. They think its success shows that people are hungry for the story they're telling about the world, but it's not clear if its success proves there's always been a large and dormant audience hungry for racist propaganda, or if it's mostly proof of how effectively Elon Musk has used the platform he bought to mainstream xenophobic hatred. Which, by the way, I'm sure I've mentioned this in other times when I've talked about Elon Musk, but like, he has used Twitter to platform all forms of hatred. All of them. If there's a form of bigotry, best believe Elon Musk is somewhere signal boosting. I will never forget that one time I was literally on his page because I was trying to... Actually, I was writing a video about him, and then I gave up because he was so very racist. He was giving me the heebie-jeebies. But somebody had tweeted something about like, oh, despite making up this little part of the population, black people are committing this portion of the crimes. And Elon was in the replies like, that's interesting, or whatever. And I'm like, you are literally single-handedly just seeking out racist propaganda. Or by the way, even if things are facts, it's like... way to ignore the reality of the United States criminal justice system, and you're just retweeting, replying, reposting, rewording. I cannot believe the hate machine that Twitter has been turned into by this man, because I already would have described it as a hate machine even before he got his hands on it. Someone said Elon moves like a roach. Yeah, Twitter is the ultimate roach. It just won't die. Anyways, Vox goes on to point out, something which I didn't even feel the need to get into, but like, is it true that immigrants are ruining society because they're all violent criminals? No, obviously not. Studies demonstrate no link between immigration and crime rates in either the US or Europe. But there's one place it's totally exploding, and that's the mind of Elon Musk. The South African trillionaire has been on a crusade against woke politics for years, and lately has been pivoting harder into racist great replacement theory, fear-mongering, which is okay, great. On his X account, Musk regularly reposts false claims that migrants of color plan to kill white people, and that white solidarity is the only rational response. So, disturbing, to say the least. Someone said, dude, Elon Musk's family moved to South Africa because they wanted to live in an apartheid state. Can I address the elephant in the room? Like, Elon Musk literally is an immigrant. And also, what is so stupid, so is the character in this movie. Armie Hammer's character is American, has immigrated to Europe, and is now like, actually, immigrants are bad when they're brown people, so let's get rid of all of them. And if you feel like that is an unfair or uncharitable read on the movie, I have several bridges to sell you. Someone said Elon is just so corny, it might be funny if he weren't so influential. Okay, I'm not putting this point in the video because it's not relevant. But there's this article that kind of gets into this point, which I can't. Oh, here it is. Is it this one? Maybe not. Basically, like, it's been pointed out several times that Elon Musk is a loser to the point of like, it would almost be funny if it wasn't so destructive to everyone else. It's not just Elon, by the way. I would put Mark Zuckerberg in the same category of just being such like a heinously corny individual. I almost am compelled to laugh if your very decisions weren't also simultaneously affecting millions and millions of people for the worst. You could throw Jeff Bezos up there too. He's cringe to the point of like, I physically can't believe someone like you exists. And of course, these are the people that wind up becoming billionaires and holding all this power. It's literally just a travesty, dog. Someone said L's on L's on L's. Yeah, it's just, I almost just wish they weren't billionaires so I could finally laugh at all of this. Reading chat. Yeah, all right. Anyways, someone said, I never understand the reasoning behind xenophobia. I know it's racism and white supremacy, but that still doesn't make sense to me. You've got it. That's it. There's no sense to it. It doesn't track at all because like simultaneously, I guess I can talk about American xenophobia. We brag and brag and brag about how our country was literally built by people who came from other places. Also, almost everyone here at some point came from another place, and yet we simultaneously turn around and be hateful towards our literal closest neighbors geographically. No, xenophobia really doesn't make any sense. And what gets really annoying is people will try so hard to justify it. So anytime that anybody commits a crime or whatever, they get held up as an example of, oh, this is all immigrants or whatever. And I'm just like, this is so stupid. But yeah, no form of bigotry makes sense. And yes, most of them can be rooted back to some form of white supremacy. Xenophobia just happens to be insane for the very fact of it's also just not grounded in anything. I mean, neither is any form of bigotry, but you feel me, dog. You feel me. Someone says very basic, but extremely systematic. Yeah, no. Someone said it's really frustrating how normalized these freaks are. I mean, this attitude turning into a movie that people on Twitter are bragging about is just painful to see. Anyways, now Musk is directing people to Citizen Vigilante. Over the weekend, he posted the entire movie on Twitter, where it was available for 48 hours, and since then he's been boosting memes and positive reactions to the film all over his X account. This is what people want to see, Musk wrote on Sunday. The audience wants real films again, is what Uwe Boll has said about this. Bold and with impact and about reality. The times of Supergirl and all that crap are over. So Supergirl is out, chat, and being a hateful loser is in, or sadly has seemingly never left for these people. Reading chat. Oh my god. Someone said I was once yelled at online by an American woman who argued that Americans won the war so Mexicans don't get to be in America. It's just like everything that is said by these people reflects such a lack of understanding of world history, or dare I say reality, that again, if it wasn't rooted in violent hatred, it almost could be seen as comical. But instead it's just sad and appalling that people like this are also here and are free to spread their rhetoric as well. Yeah, that's crazy that somebody said that to you, but that's also not even true. Like, literally, what is anybody talking about? But yeah, I've heard people say similar things to that. Like, not we, because that ain't me. That's some of y'all. We just so weird over here, dog. Someone said, I live in Texas, lady. I belong here. Exactly. Miss me with that. Anyways, I'm not gonna go in depth about the rest of this because I think we get the point. Hateful people are gonna latch on to a hateful movie starring somebody with sexual assault allegations. Moving back to my outline for a second, I guess one thing I would like to get into is, like, I hate this trend for us. By us, I mean people who are subjected to the reality that these people are shaping, because it's not even the first time, and it definitely won't be the last. It just seems to be happening more often. I've talked about this before on stream, but I'm actually going to go into it this time. Jonathan Majors, if you're not familiar with him, he's an actor as well. He was actually in the MCU until, as you see in this 2023 article, Marvel drops actor Jonathan Majors after domestic violence trial verdict. So he was actually found guilty. It says he was charged with assault and aggravated harassment, all misdemeanors stemming from an altercation with his then girlfriend. And I'm not going to get into the actual details of this, but yeah, a domestic abuser who again ran into the same issue where at some point even Disney, Marvel has to be like, okay, we can't put up with this, and so he goes searching for ways to further his career. And where does that land him? Oh god. This is so bad. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, that's my outline. Okay, I want this one. Jonathan Majors' Daily Wire, aka Ben Shapiro, is responsible for this. Jonathan Majors' Daily Wire movie is about radical Islamic terrorists imposing Sharia law on a woke college. Run, hide, fight, infidels. So, if you need me to tell you why this is actually also incredibly problematic, I don't know what to tell you at this point. And by the way, this sounds terrible, by the way. This actually sounds awful. At this college, there's like a pro-Palestine group, and the film takes the angle of this pro-Palestine group is like infiltrated by these literal actual terrorists. And you're making so many points at once about, oh, okay, you think that people protesting against genocide are in the wrong actually, and that everybody who we're arguing has a right to live is actually a terrorist. This genre of film, dude, how are we possibly getting these back to back to back to back? I am sad. Someone said Ben Shapiro always at the scene of the crime. Literally, of course he's here. Blah blah blah. Also, it doesn't help that the Daily Wire, Ben's company, just seems to suck for other reasons besides the obvious. Jonathan Majors fell through a window on Daily Wire action flick, leading crew to walk off set. Producers say they don't negotiate with communists. So it's not just because everybody there or behind the scenes or it's not just because people at the top are like hateful bigots. It also sucks because they don't know how to make a movie in a normal or safe way. Just over a week after several crew members walked off the South Carolina set of this movie, more details about the safety concerns that led to the strike have emerged. So, dog, it's literally just mess on mess on mess. And yeah, when Deadline asked about this and they're like, yo, what's going on with all of this? Representatives for the Daily Wire said, well, we don't talk to communists, so we're not answering you. However, Deadline was able to talk to multiple people who have gone on strike and confirmed that, yes, these things are actually happening. So I guess when your movie fails, blame communism. I don't know what we're doing here. Someone says, so they're falling apart. Yeah, no, like, it's not even like anyone's actually winning. They're just struggling and trying to convince us actually that this is some sort of major victory lap and the end of leftism and liberals and all of these other things. Communism as well, I guess, has died too today. So I honestly can't. This is so stupid. Someone said it's propaganda films. That's what history will call it. It's a good comment. I think as much as I'm just like, whoa, these movies are terrible, it is literally propaganda, hateful propaganda designed to incite violence against immigrants, Muslim people, whoever else is in this category. And I would like to at least acknowledge, hey, it's actually insane that this kind of thing can be bankrolled and celebrated by a vocal group of people, including trillionaire, not trillionaire, made money, lost money, Elon, and all this other stuff. Like, these are dark times. Reading chat. Someone say, if you want your movie to be safe, you're a communist. Yeah, communism is when anyone disagrees with me about anything ever. I would also like to point out that as stupid as all of this is, these people can't even bother to support their own movies. I don't know if you know this, but sometimes these weirdo MAGA conservative people will make conservative movies that get labeled by everyone else as still being too woke for the sins of having things like a woman as the lead actress. Gina Carano, who was fired from The Mandalorian because of her very, very unhinged tweets during the pandemic, comparing how conservatives were being treated to how Jewish people were treated by the Nazis during the Holocaust. She literally was like, oh, they're asking us to wear masks, so obviously this is the same thing as some other recent historical events. I can see why she was fired, but she did the same thing, found her way after basically losing all of her opportunities to the Daily Wire, where they released this is almost, I don't want to say too good to be true, because good is not a word that has any place in this. 2022's Terror on the Prairie, which if you were to take a gander at some of these reviews from conservative people on IMDb, 1 out of 10, more woke nonsense. All the men give up their revolvers. Women are strong like Arnold in the Terminator. Johanna Wick. All the firearms have no recoil. Watching this movie made me realize the pattern that's forming with Daily Wire movies. They all follow strong, independent female characters. This is another review, by the way. We're 4 movies in, and they're still yet to make a movie that's particularly interesting. P.S. I love the Daily Wire, but how did this happen? Every Daily Wire movie is about strong women, and with this one, it's no different. So, yeah, you can be a woman and associate yourself with this intensely misogynistic death cult if you want, but I surely hope you don't think that that's suddenly going to mean the people there like you now. And I would say the same for Jonathan Majors. I just don't think this is going to go well for him as a black lead in this film, but I don't know. I can't predict the future. Someone said Joanna Wick sounds awesome, actually. I would watch the heck out of that. I feel like they already made that movie technically, because there is a John Wick, but she's like, it's somebody else, right? Is it called Ballerina or something? John Wick. There you go. Johanna Wick right there, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, which is a very clunky title. But yeah, I'd watch that. Why not? Why not? Someone said, I didn't realize they weren't even supporting these films. The right-wing grift doesn't pay after all. Literally, these movies are just being made for no reason. They don't actually make money. They don't actually resonate a lot of the times with the people that they're intended to resonate with. Everybody's time is being wasted. In fact, as this tweet kind of points out, because this Terror on the Prairie movie only really opened in one theater for one day, its box office performance was technically $804. Now, obviously, the movie would go on to make more than that as it was distributed through the Daily Wire's other channels, but it's like, oh, okay, we are literally here just to suffer. I can't. Someone said it's for their own ego. They're all Hollywood rejects. Literally, reality has shown them that their stance is not rooted in anything real, and so they're like, okay, well, we will just create an environment in which everything we believe has a basis, because we just ignore everybody who says that we're in the wrong. It's so stupid. But yeah, moving on from the film itself, I will leave you with some of the reviews. There are not that many. From critics, 5 out of 10. It said Hammer did fine, I guess, but suffers from a bland and predictable narrative. 1.5 out of 5. This just got a splat. No numerical rating. I don't even think... Oh, okay, there's a single positive review out of all of these critics ones. Out of all these critics' reviews, but none of them are even positive, even a little bit. It says right here, this film is so astonishingly bad, says Variety. It almost feels like writer, director, producer Uwe Boll is deliberately sabotaging Armie Hammer, whose intended comeback can only be harmed by this project. But yeah, don't let don't let the absurdity of this, I guess, distract you from the fact that at the end of the day, it's just still hate. Citizen Vigilante is exactly the kind of movie, utterly incurious and incomprehensible, but politically barbed, for people who believe that immigrants are to blame for all the violent crimes in the West, to see as a rubric for defending their homeland, also known as being violent against people. So yeah, moving on from that, I guess I would like to leave you with Armie Hammer, and how does he feel about all of this? You know, is he good? Is he excited? Was this a win in his book? Was it worth it? Reading chat. Someone said, I've seen commissions more profitable. Yeah, $800 is crazy, dog. Armie Hammer, this is literally just from a few weeks ago, wants a second chance. I made these problems for myself, he tells The Hollywood Reporter. So Hammer has taken this sort of very Christ-like approach to his own controversy. And when I say Christ-like, I could not be more literal. His relationship with... Oh, okay. Scroll. His relationship with his father had been complicated for years, but when the scandal broke, his father wanted to go to war with his son's accusers. He was furious, Armie said. I'm going to call this person, I'm going to do this, we have to make sure they know this. He wanted to go on the offensive. Armie said, look, dude, I'm already on the cross. He continues, the nails are in my hands. I'm not getting off this cross no matter what we do. And the more I struggle, the longer I'm going to be up here. So Armie Hammer sort of looks at it as like, well, I was crucified by the world and there's nothing I can do about it. So this is just my fate, Dad. Sorry, let it happen. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, you are not Jesus. This is crazy to me. The lack of self-awareness and self-victimization for even while simultaneously saying, yeah, okay, I guess I technically created all of these problems for myself, but like, I don't know. I'm still Jesus though. Somebody said, Black corny, go cry me a river. Yeah, no, I got to the Jesus quote right here, and I will be real with you, I stopped reading. I was good. I had nothing else to say. Someone said the loudest eye roll ever. Someone said, chat, do we like Armie Hammer? Like, did he do something really bad besides the weird cannibal roleplay? You might have missed the part where we talked about the fact that he also has sexual assault allegations, unfortunately, that have never in any way been disproven. Or so yeah, that's the larger issue with him. Weird cannibal roleplay, I would leave on its own. Oh, and maybe if I could end this video on a lighter note, I will say this. I can't believe I have to say this, actually. If people are consensually engaging in cannibal fetish roleplay, that's actually fine. That doesn't matter. It's actually pretty unproblematic in the grand scheme of things. It's just high key. That is not exactly why Armie Hammer wound up in the position that he was. Someone said pivot to religious vibes. I wouldn't be surprised if after this he does have some sort of like, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes the Kevin Sorbo route. Yeah, sure. Someone said the cannibal story overshadowed the actual allegations. It very much did, and who knows, maybe that weirdly worked out in his favor, or that's the main thing that people remember about him. So bizarre. Anyways, someone said it's not roleplay when the partner was not in it. Oh yeah, I would also like to, I will include as well though, and in Armie Hammer's case, people said that he was doing this non-consensually, so that's not roleplay. That's just completely messed up. So I'm not here to defend this dude at all. Just want to make sure I don't sound like I'm against having whatever you want to label that. And someone said Russell Brand pivot incoming. Obviously. Anyways, is there anything else we have to say about this? I think I covered it all. Armie Hammer, the peak of his career, fall from grace, the allegations, haha, cannibalism, but also no, because it was non-consensual, plus he has actual rape allegations against him. Now he's claiming victim, got fired from everything. Uwe Boll enters the picture and is like, I'm going to make the most xenophobic Islamophobic movie that I can for $2 million, and it still looks like absolute trash. It's released. Germany doesn't want to rate it, so it's quote unquote banned. And then Elon Musk rallies behind it along with all of his conservative weirdo trash fanboys on Twitter, and they're like, we're going to make this movie a thing. So it actually did low key perform well on like Amazon and Apple, which is just I can't. Anything else? Because if not, and Daily Wire films. Yes, we talked about Jonathan Majors. We talked about Gina Carano, and how this particular brand of like person with controversy pivots into conservative media space is always ending well, because conservatives will get mad at their own films, or they will have all of these problems going on the back end because they don't care about the people who are even making them. Someone said this is how scary abusive stuff gets normalized because people refuse to shame it. Anything that's not consensual should be shamed, for sure. Anything that's consensual, hey, you do whatever y'all want. Anyways, I think I'm gonna wrap it for now. Like I said, I have two other pretty big topics that are not going to be videos. They're just going to be little exclusives for us today on this little Saturday. So everybody say goodbye. I'm recording an outro, and then we will pivot to the next topic about I don't know which one I should do first, because they're both kind of interesting. We could do the AI one, or we could do the newspaper battle one. They're both fun. But anyway, say goodbye, and I'll record an outro. Someone said, speaking of unwanted Hollywood return, Kevin Spacey is doing major PR right now. Ew, I saw that. Very, very creepy, very odd. Anyways, that is all I have to say about Armie Hammer, Citizen Vigilante, The Daily Wire, and all of these other travesties. Hopefully you never think about this ever again. I know I will certainly try not to, but yeah, I actually recorded this video live right here on YouTube, where I stream quite frequently, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern time, unless of course I don't, in which case I'm probably just, I don't know, sleeping or something. But yeah, hopefully I see you in the next video or the next stream, and if not, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, bye. All right, that's it. That's it, bro. We're done. I mean, we're not done because I'm still live on YouTube right now in front of all these people. Scary. Okay, so let me open my agenda so I can get to some of these other topics. I guess I'm going to talk about... I almost don't want to talk about it because it's so stupid. But I do want to talk about it because it's interesting to me. And by interesting, I just mean so stupid. The New York Times. I missed this one at the very end of Pride Month, and how could I? Someone said I missed the main topic. It's okay, don't worry. You're here for another mini topic, which is actually interesting as well. And by interesting, I mean so stupid. The New York Times has been putting out rage bait articles for a while now, actually, for some reason. And this is literally just the latest in a long line of those. So on the last day of Pride Month, they put out, "I'm gay, not queer. It matters," says their guest essayist Matthew Vines, who is, and this will come as no surprise to you, the author of God and the Gay Christian, the biblical case in support of same-sex relationships. So even before I give this a chance, I would like to point something out. If you don't identify as queer or you're uncomfortable with the word, that's fine. That's a completely valid position. No one ever has to identify as anything that they don't feel represented by, ever. And I would never pressure or want someone to feel the need to do that. However, if somehow your personal discomfort with a label is turning into, actually, I think all queer people are the issue, and queer is a bad label because now the teenagers are all transing, essentially. It's as bad as you think it's going to be. It's been 11 years, says Matthew Vines, since same-sex marriage was legalized nationwide, and for most of that time, its place in American life has seemed settled. Has it, Matthew? That sense of security is starting to erode. Okay, so we figured out this 11 years ago, but things are getting worse. Why? Support for same-sex marriage has dropped by 18 percentage points among Republicans since 2022, and conservative activists and lawmakers are mounting an increasingly aggressive campaign to overturn... I'm struggling. Sorry, it's my fault that I can't read. Obergefell versus Hodges. That's my best take on that, and I apologize if that was bad. The Supreme Court case that established marriage equality as a right. I don't take these efforts lightly, he says. The right that some Christian activists are seeking to undo is the reason I was able to marry my husband 4 years ago at a Baptist church in Texas, albeit one that had broken away from the traditionalist Southern Baptist Convention. First of all, happy for you, Matthew. Good for you. How is this going to turn into my problem as a queer content creator? Let's find out. Since then, the broad support that had made marriage equality possible has grown more vulnerable. This is in part because a key message behind it, that being gay is not a choice, is being undermined by those who argue that same-sex orientation is better thought of as a part of a wider rebellion against social norms. I'm going to read... Someone said Obergefell. Thank you. That's much better than the garbage pronunciation I gave. Or Obergefell. I'm going to read this sentence again, because I know you heard me, but I really, really need you to I need you to hear this. Marriage equality is being eroded in America because the key idea that being gay is not a choice is being undermined by those who argue that same-sex orientation is better thought of as a wider rebellion against social norms, also known as queer people. I kid you not. He says this worldview is best expressed in one word, queer, which is often used interchangeably with gay these days. The two words don't mean the same thing. I agree, they don't mean the same thing. And in that difference lies a danger for our hard-fought equality. So I literally read this article 3 times because I was like, I'm misreading this. I'm misreading this. I'm misreading this. No. The point of this New York Times article is literally just like, because queer people exist and we use the phrase queer and have reclaimed it and queer theory and this, that, the other, it's making everyone really homophobic again. And we should stop because it's bad for gay people who are not queer. I came out as gay in 2010 after being raised in the evangelical church in Wichita, Kansas. Ooh, don't envy that. Where homosexuality was considered a sinful choice. 2 things helped me change my mind. First was a painstaking study of scripture. All 6 of the Bible's references to same-sex relations are negative, but the lustful and exploitative same-sex practices those passages describe differ fundamentally from same-sex marriages today that are based on lifelong love and commitment. I think I agree with him broadly. That like even the Bible as a justification for being homophobic is pretty much a misunderstanding of the Bible. But anyways, the other thing that shaped my view was the public argument for gay rights at the time. The message from leading marriage equality advocates was simple and clear. Being gay is neither chosen nor changeable, and gay people deserve the same legal protections and chance at happiness as everyone else. I can't believe I have to say this, but like, I agree. Also, as a queer person, I don't think that being gay is a choice. And I'm actually kind of scared and appalled that this is being presented as some sort of worldview that anyone has in the New York Times of all places. The faithful relationships highlighted by the Campaign for Marriage Equality helped me see that same-sex love could be just as profound and enduring as heterosexual love. They were in keeping with the core biblical idea about marriage, that it's a covenant designed to reflect God's self-giving love for humanity. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm bored. I'm bored. This is, I admit, a far from radical vision of gay relationships, which brings me to queer. So now we get into his second thesis, which is essentially being gay is normal and being queer is essentially rooted in not upholding heteronormative ideals. And so therefore he would like to distance himself from this whole queer narrative, because why can't you just accept gay as the status quo and leave us alone? The shift towards queer has been remarkable and has coincided with a broader shift towards polarization in our society in the past 15 years. They're saying in 2009, a majority of gay men and lesbians reported negative feelings about the word, with only 1 in 5 gay men viewing it positively. And then in 2025, 48% of LGBT people said that they thought of themselves as queer, including nearly 60% of those under 30. Progressive activists, organizations, and major media outlets now routinely use queer people as an umbrella label for everyone who isn't heterosexual, often paired with trans, to encompass the broader LGBTQ population. What's in a word? It's more than just a shift in linguistic fashion. Queer carries an adversarial charge that gay does not. I feel like I hear Jeopardy music playing in the background, but I'm just going to keep reading. And that charge has a specific intellectual lineage. Wait, okay. I'm trying so hard, dog. I'm trying. Reading chat. Some said none of this makes sense. Dog, In 1990, an activist group called Queer Nation published a manifesto exhorting gay people to call themselves queer. Its rationale was that gay was a much brighter word, and queer better conveyed the anger and disgust that they felt at how society treated gay people as marginal others whose deaths barely mattered. That sentiment had an understandable resonance at the height of the AIDS epidemic, but the us versus them posture it represented has outlived that crisis. So I guess because we're not at the height of the AIDS epidemic anymore, we as queer people don't need to view ourselves in opposition to a heteronormative society. We should just be grateful for marriage equality, and that is at the end of the story. I'm dead, bro. This oppositional framing of queer achieved its most enduring influence through the rise of queer theory. In that academic context, queer did not simply mean gay or bisexual. It meant anti-normative in a sweeping sense. As the queer theorist David Halpern wrote, it's by definition whatever is odds with the normal, the legitimate, the dominant. By that standard, same-sex relationships could be queer, but so could open marriages, prostitution, and public sex, even when heterosexual. To be fair, queer has certain advantages. It is more economical than LGBTQIA+, and its openness can feel freeing to those ill at ease with the binary nature of gay and lesbian. I have friends who are transgender and are married to someone who is, and find queer a more comfortable fit for that reason. But the capaciousness that makes queer appealing to some also makes the term remarkably easy for anybody, regardless of orientation, to adopt as a kind of radical chic identity label. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was reading this article and I was like, D'Angelo, you're not being fair. D'Angelo, there are so many people with so many different ideas in the LGBT community. You have to be open to all of them, even if they sound like they may be mirroring incredibly bigoted things. There might not be as well. So I was literally trying to read this in good faith until I got to the part where he genuinely was like, actually, queer is just not a good term because too many people just say it because they want to be like chic or use it as a label, and it's too easy, unlike actually being gay, I guess. And I was like, I knew it. No, I won't say I knew it, but I literally knew it. Someone said, I love being radically chic. Yeah. Also, what's wrong with my radical chic identity label? Sorry, but I actually do think it's pretty cool. That's not exactly why I call myself that or struggled so much understanding myself in a world that would like me to not exist. But like, that just seems like perks, Matthew. Someone said this feels like has the LGBT movement lost its way article from that weird conservative that was published in the New York Times a year or so ago. The New York Times is bad for this, dog. They really, really are. Because the word queer can describe any departure from social norms, it becomes an open door through which almost anyone can walk. Polyamorous queer, vaguely uncomfortable with gender expectations, possibly queer too. This one kind of pissed me off because I feel like I fit under that. I would like to say this though, because there's an element of importance to what he's saying. If you were to not read this so uncharitably, it isn't good to take more specific labels and basically, what's the word I'm looking for, water them down essentially by using umbrella terms that refuse to acknowledge the existence of certain marginalized identities, right? If I could give you another example just based off of myself, POC would be one of them. I identify as a person of color, and I'm proud and happy to be, but I am also black, which isn't the same thing as being a person of color. And it's actually not really helpful to, if you are talking about black people, just BIPOC and blow it up into like the umbrella label. Things can get lost, and I do think nuance can easily get like put through the grinder, all because people are like unwilling to actually acknowledge certain groups. However, I genuinely fail to understand how that is what the label queer that many people are choosing for themselves is doing. And if that's not his point, that's fine, but I don't see why it has to come with so many baked in nonsensical statements like, oh, this just makes it too easy for anybody to identify as queer, or like, oh, queer's not even necessary anymore. Because I get it, back when people were mad about, obviously, like, understandably reacting with rage towards like the AIDS epidemic, but now I think we've sort of outlived its usefulness. And like all of these things in this article, I'm just like, even if you had a point, why did it have to be expressed in such a roundabout way in which people catch a bunch of strays? It's so silly to me. Someone said, yeah, because someone could have a BIPOC event to sound inclusive, but yet they aren't welcoming to black folks. Yeah. So again, in the interest of sounding or being literally being open, I still would agree. If this was an article and it was literally like, hey, the word queer is great and I love umbrella terms, but whenever possible, we should be more specific, I would be like, that's a great article and I love that. Actually, someone should write that. But I just more so feel like I'm reading a bunch of thinly veiled queer-phobic talking points in the New York Times, and it's just hard for me not to feel that way. It really, really is. Someone said, what does he think the barrier for entry in this community should be? I couldn't tell you. Someone said, I feel like if you have a problem with people identifying as literally anything, the problem is probably with you, not them. How does it affect you? Yeah, no, anyways, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. So coming back to this, yes, this elasticity has fueled a sharp rise in young people identifying as something other than straight, even if they're unlikely to ever pursue a same-sex relationship. Some of this increase represents people who were previously closeted but are now free to be honest about their sexual orientation, which is a welcome development. But the broader trend of casting the queer net ever wider has muddled a once clear public message about who gay people are. Being gay begins to look less like an inborn trait and more like a chosen ideology or aesthetic. I literally need a sanity check. Am I like misreading this? I literally just feel like I read a paragraph that is literally just saying like, oh, the adoption of the word queer is actually helping a lot of people understand themselves, but actually that's kind of not a good thing because it makes being gay seem like an aesthetic. Why? I don't understand. Somebody said, what is this gatekeeping queerness he's doing? Why can we not all like just be happy? I don't know. Was it not enough? It's so insane to me. So I feel like I'm being gaslit by this article, literally because it's framed so gently and understandingly, and I'm just like, but you are literally just saying, hey, I'm super uncomfortable with this word because other people who have different identities than me are now expressing themselves, and I don't like how that reflects on me personally because I'm blaming y'all for homophobia. I can't. I really can't. Reading chat. Someone said, people are pointing out biphobia too. Yeah, it very much just feels like we're leaving out a few letters of the acronym, and that's always going to be a little uncomfy for me. Subsuming the fixed reality of gayness under the much more malleable banner of queerness undermines a core premise behind gay rights, that sexual orientation isn't chosen. And polling suggests that premise is indeed being weakened. The share of Americans who believe people are born gay has declined over the past decade. This feels made up. This literally feels like a problem that somebody invented and was like, I'm going to write a whole article about how now that there's so many different ways of, obviously we understand you could be queer in a million different ways. I'm going to act like that means that these people don't believe that gay people are just born this way. Shout out Lady Gaga. I've never heard anyone say that. Never. I've read thousands and thousands and thousands of internet comments. I have talked to so many of my friends. I've been in so many queer spaces all the time. I might sometimes spend more time in them than outside of them. And I have quite literally never heard anyone suggest that, like, yeah, this is a good thing now because we're acknowledging this is a choice. No one believes that this is a choice. Not us. It's not we. This is so stupid. Reading chat. Someone's projecting his protecting his own validity by tearing down validity of others. Yeah, I can't. In the time of backlash, this is not a confusion that gay people can afford, especially those of us who live in red states and religious communities. In my work with the Reformation Project, which advocates the acceptance of same-sex relationships in the church, I've watched conservative Christians grow noticeably more guarded in recent years. Even those who had, however reluctantly, made their peace with same-sex marriage being legal have become increasingly alarmed by their sense that the LGBTQ movement lacks clear limiting principles. Okay. And while the sharp recent drop among Republicans in support for marriage equality is only part of a larger ramping up of culture war populism, losing the clarity and moderation of the message that once appealed to a majority of them cannot have helped. I hear this. Okay, wait, I feel myself getting like actually sad and frustrated for a second. I felt something bubbling to the surface, and I'm going to put that back down because I'm not going to sit here and like cry and be annoying, but like I just feel like I run into this energy so much as like a non-binary person. It's just really frustrating, I think. Sorry, I'm dying over here. I'm literally trying not to be dramatic, but like this is a very common talking point. And it's just really hurtful, honestly. This idea that like, hey, we're okay if you're, I don't know, LGBTQ to a certain point, which is not true, by the way. Society is not okay with any of us, but we're okay with it to a certain point. But once you start getting into some of these weirder, not my word, genders, these less culturally normal things, you're making all of us look really bad. And essentially, like, then what is the answer? Do I and my confused friends just disappear so that you feel that conservatives will be nicer to you? Because that's literally insane, and it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you this, because let me say this. It doesn't matter how many times I change my pronouns. It doesn't matter what new and weird genders me or any of my friends invent. It doesn't matter if I start identifying as several different conflicting parts of the LGBT experience at once. Nothing I do is responsible for the world hating all of us. It's not me. It's not because I go around telling people that I'm non-binary that I'm somehow responsible. And if I would just lie and try so hard to be cis, even though that just doesn't work because I'm not, then everybody would be nicer to us. I'm not responsible for this. It's not any of us. And I don't even meaningfully view my identity as being weirder than any of the other ones. It's not more normal to be gay than it is to be queer or whatever. Like, this is so stupid, and I'm just really tired of hearing this point. I think about Gavin Newsom and his like culturally normal thing that he said. It's such a subtle version of like, it's such a subtle version of bigotry that I just sound crazy when I point it out. But it's like Newsom's message to the Democratic Party: be more culturally normal. And he said we should be less prone to spending disproportionate amount of times on pronouns, identity politics. And yeah, obviously, if the time we're spending is disproportionate and it is actually hindering progress, we could have that conversation. That's not what's happening. And it's like, how is this happening in CNN? Like, the New York Times, not that I had any faith in these drags, but like, I'm watching this become an actual dominant cultural narrative for people. And it is just kind of scary. Like, I don't understand this. I genuinely don't understand this. Someone said, who decides who is normal? Yeah, no, there's so much, I feel, room for like discussion about this. Obviously, there is room for a lot of nuance, and I would love to actually have any sort of meaningful discourse, but it's just kind of odd how the discourse often just winds up being like, oh, all of the weirdos are going to catch strays. And guys, I think that we should put up a united front to make people hate us less. And you're not achieving that by being insert whatever wrong version of gay exists in your mind, even though I'm literally not gay. So yeah, I'm sad. Sorry. I hope I'm not coming across as some sort of like triggered. Well, I am honestly. Actually, I don't care if I'm coming across as triggered. He said, as a 19-year-old, I found freedom that by coming to understand that there's nothing inherently radical or subversive about being gay. Watching committed same-sex couples be welcomed into the institution of marriage transformed my sense of self-worth, imagining or allowing me to envision for the first time a dignified future as an openly gay person. It showed me something never before possible for gay people now was for me. I could fall in love and build a life with someone without being confined to the closet or shunted to the margins of society. The irony. The gay rights movement changed the world and changed my life by showing that being gay is not a rebellion against ordinary life. It's simply one way of living it, every bit as dignified and human as being straight. As support for gay rights begins to wane, we urgently need to regain the clarity of that simple, transformational message. And I'm just like, I agree. Also, I don't think being gay is a reactionary, inherently political decision because, well, it's not something that you chose. I guess it's just having elements of your identity being politicized by the world itself is just kind of tricky and exhausting. It leaves me feeling so powerless because I'm just like, well, then what do you want me to do about it? I also just feel like there's an element of like, I'm trying to be really careful with how I word this. But there is a slight underestimation of how bad homophobia still is. Because like you're saying, oh, we got the marriage equality happened 11 years ago or whatever. That wasn't the end of homophobia for anybody in this country. There's still so much work to do, I guess. And when I get these articles and it's just like, nah, we won. The AIDS crisis is over. Gay people can marry each other. And now is not the time for you weirdos to be using these other labels and for more people to be expressing themselves and identifying because it's getting too easy. I don't want to lose what we got. I'm just like, dog, this is just a little silly to me. It's a little silly. But yeah, I wrote that down because I just wanted to talk about it, and I was mad somewhat. Reading chat. Someone said, when your identity is already seen as strange and outside of the norm, of course, queer people are going to fall into alternative groups and identities. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is just like, I didn't choose for any of this to mean any of this either. I truly fail to understand why the radical nature of queerness seems to be something that he thinks that every single queer person has chosen for themselves. Actually, I would ask you this, like, is anybody here just queer and also tired of it being a political thing? Because I am. It is honestly, for me, yes, a political action, unfortunately, for me to just identify as myself in this world. But I would vastly prefer that it wasn't. I actually would be a lot happier if I was non-binary and it meant nothing. It just wasn't any sort of, it shared no overlap with a reaction to the heteronormativity or the gender binary that is oppressing all of us. I wish this could be as quote unquote normal as he seems to think that certain parts of this banner have been, even though I'm just like, dog, we still have to go so much further before we're not being normative about this stuff. So like, I am tired, honestly. It's wild to me. Someone says my partner is actively coming out as trans, and some days I'm like, God, I just wish people didn't care. Seriously, like, I wish people didn't care about what I was doing, because I'm not really the one coming into this with like so much fire and fury and stuff. Anyways, he I got to see if I can access the comments on this one, because the New York Times will try to like block you if you don't have a New York Times subscription, even though that just sounds like a nightmare to me. Hold on. Excuse me. Someone's the same with being a minority. Yeah. Oh man. There's levels to this for real. But yeah, I will say this though. I do still genuinely hope. I have to log in to the New York Times. Ugh. I do genuinely hope that like if you don't identify with the label, you don't feel like anything I said just now was me like trying to force you into something that you disagree with, because I don't think that that's right at all. And I also hope that you don't think I was like invalidating his actual good points in this article. I guess the good points being gay, being queer, not the same thing, and words do have meaning, and like you can't just with a broad stroke try to erase certain, you know, but like that's just not what was happening here. Someone said being an AFAB queer POC, I hate how parts of my identity are some kind of talking point to be debated in political convos. Just treat me like a human because I am and will be coolio. Yeah, that's kind of where I am personally. But anyways, so I wanted to pull some reactions to this because I was kind of like pleasantly surprised to see it wasn't just me, honestly. This person left a long comment about the history of the word queer, and they were like, I've never liked or believed in separatism, and this article reeks of it. It encourages finger pointing within a marginalized community. Divide and conquer is insidious when outsiders do it to us. Let's not do it to each other in this incredibly fragile time while we have so much to lose. And I was kind of like, yes, okay, whoa, I'm not crazy. And he reacted and he was like, I'm not in favor of separatism either, but I am in favor of using clear language to describe distinct experiences. I mean, same, on God. Queer is fine as a label for those who prefer it, but part of the reason many gay people do not prefer it is because it doesn't clearly communicate. For you, I guess, it can mean a wide range of things, from gayness to bisexuality to asexuality to an ideological posture of suspicion towards norms, wholly independent of sexual orientation. Okay. Human beings are more accepting of what we perceive to be natural differences as opposed to performative differences. Here we go. Queer people are too performative, and that's why the word is bad. Being gay is not a performative difference, and that's why I'm concerned about linguistic shifts that elide that reality. This is especially true in countries where homosexuality is still criminalized. Western LGBTQ activism shapes public perceptions globally, whether people intend it to or not. We can rightly complain that countries that criminalize same-sex relationships should accept them as a matter of principle, regardless of whether they acknowledge the concept of sexual orientation. But realistically, as long as gay and lesbian people are seen as misbehaving heterosexuals, which has effectively been the traditional view of people who pursued same-sex relationships, they will have no hope of overcoming their persecution. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we're literally right back to... Actually, it's the fault of the existence of queerness as a concept, which is why we're really being oppressed, and we will never, ever be free until all of you stop making me uncomfortable. Someone said, I convinced he's being transphobic. It low-key feels everything phobic. He only left 2 other comments. This person says, a welcoming queer umbrella does not dilute any identity within it, gay or otherwise. The amount of tolerance bestowed on the LGBTQ community by fair weather and frequently hate-filled right-wingers in a given political era should not be the way a gay person or queer person measures how successful they are at being understood. That was worded so well. That was literally worded so well. And kind of what I'm getting at, like, homophobes being nice to you doesn't mean that we're winning. And then being less nice to you because of the existence of people like me is not my problem. And it's also not a thing that's really happening. It makes me sad that this author places so much value on gay identity being inborn that they've lost the plot on the way reclaimed language evolves. As a 90s kid, I remember gay being the number one insult, and culture evolves. The way the success of the gay rights movement have given countless people the courage to explore who they are. I want the tent where it's acceptable to explore to be as big and safe as possible. My queerness is about both anger and joy. And like, I kind of thought that was a decent response. Actually, I was pretty happy to read that because I'm like, okay, again, these are all the same things I was thinking. This wasn't just me like flying off the handle. And he says, for me, says the author, being gay is not about either anger or joy. It's merely a term to describe that I'm exclusively attracted to the same sex. The simplicity of the term is freeing because it does not require me to pledge my allegiance to any particular worldview or ideology. Insisting that all gay people are actually queer, or at least a subset of queer, puts significant pressure on gay people to conform to ways of thinking rooted in queer theory. Gay people who don't fit this mold are then frequently criticized for not being queer enough. This is not an expansion of our freedom, but a restriction of it. Again, like, you can identify however you want. If it turns into you making the point that like, oh, but because a lot of people are identifying this way, I'm mad about it because I'm blaming this for this other problem that is neither of our fault. That's essentially the only thing I'm pushing back against. You could be whoever you want, bro. Yeah, I don't need this person to identify as queer. I don't care, Matthew. Please. And then the last one they had. Oh, he has more of these. Okay. I swear to God that only the first 3 loaded when I looked at this. But anyways, this person agreed with him and was like, I agree that the term is muddying the waters and I get tired of hearing people broadcast their sexuality as if it's the most important defining factor of their identity. And it's like, he says, I am only 36, but it's been a bit disorienting to me to see how LGBTQ identities have become so much easier to try on or take off for teenagers today. Smile and nod. When I was in high school from 2004 to 2008, there were only a handful of openly gay students, and while our school was pretty tolerant and accepting overall, especially given it was in Wichita, Kansas, no one would have said that coming out came without some cost, and many students stayed in the closet. That needed to change, but to the extent that LGBTQ identities are now perceived as edgier or cooler than simply being straight, at least in certain circles, that ends up creating new problems of... It's like he literally cannot end a thought without being like, but also queer people are the real problem. That ends up creating new problems of its own. It fosters resentment among heterosexual students who feel that they are now being looked down upon for their unchosen identity. This then rebounds to the harm of gay students and others who cannot distance themselves from their identity when the going gets tough because their orientation genuinely is fixed and innate. I feel like I finally understood him. I read this and I feel like I finally understood where he was coming from. Not that he's right. I just feel like the contradiction finally clicked in my head and I was like, oh. This is somebody who, just due to being who he was, has always known exactly who he is. And I realize he said that several times throughout the article. I guess because for me, that is absolutely not my experience. And that's also not the experience of a lot of, he's going to say queer people. I'm realizing now that this is like, because he is a gay man and has known this, and this has never in any way been, a fluid thing for him or whatever. He literally cannot conceptualize the idea of someone in the LGBT community not knowing exactly what they are and like wanting to use a label to see if that's the right thing for them, and then that's how they figure out, or they're like, oh, actually that wasn't right. The whole process of like self-discovery that can be an element in many people's experience, he just doesn't seem to think is valid. He very much seems to think that basically just means that you're, I don't want to say performative, but I think you can string together enough of his statements. He's just really mad that people seem to have acknowledged that, like, yes, of course being gay is not a choice, but now that people are actually saying, well, you can identify however truly you want in an effort to find out what's right for you, it's a problem because he thinks we're going to backslide on thinking that, oh, gay people must be lying. So I guess finally his perspective made sense when I read that last one. I just still think it's a completely invalid perspective. What the hell, bro? I don't understand this. Someone said they're not the only people in the world. Literally, like, your experience of this isn't the only one that exists within this umbrella term. And if you don't like the umbrella term, that's fine. Don't use it. But just positing it as a reason for why homophobia exists is just like... but at the end of the day, though, no matter what marginalized group you're in, somebody finna blame you for the bigotry against that group. I'm just talking about from experience. If there's one group of people who's ultimately going to be blamed for misogyny, is it ever really men? No, it's women. Who really gets blamed in my actual experience from who gets blamed for like anti-blackness? Is it the institutions of white supremacy? No, it's black people. It's like, oh, if y'all weren't so insert whatever crazy adjectives you want to whip up, then maybe we would actually like you. It's the same thing with like xenophobia. Who gets blamed for xenophobia? Immigrants, actually. And I guess it's just the same thing here, where it's like, weirdly, now it's just like, okay, who are we finally going to actually blame for just essentially bigotry against people in the LGBT community, queer people? So really, I should have just recognized this for what it was. But yeah, that was the original article, which I was like, what are we doing here? And then I found, because it was recommended to me with a bunch of other similar articles. Hold on, I'm trying to go back to my agenda. Pulling this one right here. And I found essentially that this is just like, this is a form of rage bait. This is literally, we're not going to read this one. This is a different article. I'm gay, but that doesn't make me queer. My sexuality doesn't require me to reject all that is normal and legitimate. So this is the Wall Street Journal, who, trash rag, they did the same thing a couple months ago. I just missed it. And it's literally just the same article of like, hey, being gay is a normal thing, which I agree. And it shouldn't have to be seen as an act of resistance against the norms, which I agree. But therefore, queerness and its framing and all of this is actually a bad thing for all of us. I'm just like, okay, I'm tired of this particular genre of rage bait. And then pulling this right here, it turned into articleception of why are America's largest newspapers stigmatizing queer people, asks Advocate. And this article kind of brings up the same thing that I was trying to say here. It says right here, another day, another think piece by a gay man distancing himself from queerness. If it feels like we were just here, it's because we were. And then I also saw this is when I realized I was literally falling for a rabbit hole. You've got the response. Actually, I'm gay and I'm queer. It matters. And it's giving like this sort of history of queerness and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay. It happened again. I just got triggered by rage bait in the New York Times again. I have to stop doing it. I literally have to stop doing it because honestly, I feel like it's some of the only rage bait that works on me sometimes. I think because the New York Times like does put out good articles sometimes, really good stuff actually. They have had good journalism, but then they are also always putting out this like, they have a lot of transphobic nonsense and in this case like anti-queer talking points, but they always try to dress it up in a way that would not be like immediate alarm bells for most people consuming it. So then you just sound crazy if you're pointing it out. But yeah, That's the story of how I fell into a gay versus queer discourse rabbit hole. And then wound up getting really upset before I realized essentially that my feelings were being manipulated by publications who don't care about gay people, queer people, or anyone at all. Story time. Did you like that one? Sorry if it was frustrating. I just wanted to talk about it. Sorry. Someone said the illegitimate queer versus the normal gay truly feels like a nightmare version of that Chad meme, but from the gay conservative cruise. Literally, like, what are we doing here, bro? They hate all of us. We're not gonna fix it by LARPing. I can't. Someone says it works on me too, but most rage bait does. Bro, I'm trying to live a rage bait free life, on God. This is so stupid. Someone said, I think Noah Sampson subscribed to the New York Times as part of a project. He said similar things. It's so insidious the way that this stuff is presented, because then when I start disagreeing with it super heavy, I sound like I'm singling out some gay person's perspective and being like, well, no, he's wrong about his lived experience. But that's literally not what I was doing. I was like, wait, why are we minimizing so many groups of people by assigning positions to them that I've never heard them actually ever espouse? It's so odd. Someone said this was horrible, but I'm glad we talked about. They're acting ridiculous. Yeah, no, it's just a weird time, dog. At the end of the day, I don't accept infighting. I really don't. You're never, ever going to convince me that my enemy is somehow going to be, well, really anybody else in the LGBT community. No, like, I'm only one thing, or no, I'm a bunch of things, but I'm only a couple things. But I'm not going to turn around and then blame other people for the problems that I'm experiencing. And yeah, no, y'all suck for that heavy. For real. Someone says, are these authors conservative? We could guess. I don't know. I could only go off of what I saw. Christian, we know that. That doesn't mean you're conservative, though, but Lord Almighty. Someone says avoid rage bait when you have ADHD and are a very sensitive person. Challenge impossible. Look, like, the thing is, like, rage bait is an experience for all of us, for sure. Neurotypical people get rage baited all the time. But there is something about the way my brain works where I just can't let things go until I feel like I understand the crux of them, where sadly I find myself dwelling in rage bait spaces for too long because I'm literally just trying to understand. And I'm just like, how could someone feel this way? Am I the problem? Maybe I am. It's also like, it takes a lot, low key. It takes a lot of, I wouldn't use the word confidence, maybe like resolve or something, to like genuinely read an article published in like a major newspaper that is saying like, hey, you and all your homies are the problem. And for you to be like, wow, that makes me feel kind of bad that you're saying that, but you're wrong. I disagree. Someone said, how didn't I know you were in the community? I feel like I don't, like, I guess just because you might not have ever caught me saying it. I say it casually, but yeah, I am a non-binary man. My pronouns are he, him. And also I'm a spec. I'm not gay or straight or really anything else. I basically just have a lack of everything. Orientation, gender, brain cells, none of that really was in the cards for me. So I'm just here and queer, I guess. That's really all I have to say. Someone says, I'm reading a book that talks about the birth of rage bait called Outrage Machine. I would read the hell out of that, honestly. I really would. But thank you for listening to me rant, though. Like, low key, I have no one else to talk to about this. Like, I kind of do. I could sit my friends down and be like, y'all, I read this article and then I fell into the rabbit hole of trad gay versus weirdo queer discourse, which is not real. And my friends would just literally be like, you did what? To? Why did you click into the New York Times? You said you hate them. So, like, it is nice to be able to vent a little bit. I appreciate it. Someone says, same, I can't ignore it. I don't know why it's my kryptonite. It's so annoying. Getting off my phone doesn't help. I've gotten a lot better about my doom scrolling. It can be hard to extricate yourself from rage bait for some reason. Just like, it is what it is. Someone said, thank you for ranting while I draw. Okay, anyways, enough about that. Now I'm going to move into the last sort of major big-ish topic I had for us today, which was involving AI. Oh, wait, hold on. I got an interesting question. Someone said, can you talk a bit more about the identity of non-binary man? Yesterday, I was thinking about my non-binary lesbians, and I came to the conclusion that it's what they feel best represents them. I can talk about the identity of non-binary man for myself. Like, if anyone else says that they're that, I don't know what they mean. Because that could honestly mean anything. But for me, I know this is going to sound trite, or like I'm trying to be goofy, but that's just what I am. That's actually just the long and short of it. Like, I'm a non-binary person. Throw me in a room with a bunch of NBs and you will see very clearly we might share a single brain cell sometimes. Obviously not. We're not all one person, but like, brother, I'm non-binary to the point of sometimes I feel like I don't even understand myself. Forget society understanding my gender. Even I don't understand it at times. So yeah, I'm like painfully and obviously NB. If I wanted to, I could totally, I guess, I don't know, like use different pronouns or whatever. I don't really feel particularly represented or misrepresented by he, him pronouns. And also, I am a man too. That's just it. It's just what I am. I'm not one. Many people are non-binary and neither a man nor a woman, because part of them being non-binary is the very fact that they don't align with either of these genders. And that's probably the case for most people. But like in my case, that's not what it means. So yeah, I soul search. I internally, I scan the archives of my brain and I'm like, are you a non-binary cringe weirdo? And I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, are you also literally just some dude? And I'm like, yes. So that's it. I've had to accept both parts of those being true simultaneously, because neither one of them will get less true no matter how hard I tried for like 27 years to force one or the other to be true. And that's it. That's all I've got. Someone said I'm non-binary and a woman. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. If it was up to me, maybe I would just choose one or the other, but I got to be true to myself, bro. I really, really do. Someone said, I've come to the conclusion I'm just me and that's it. Literally, me using both of these terms is just a function of me just being myself, honestly. That's it. Someone said, is it gender fluid or gender neutral? It's gender apathetic for me. Complete and total apathy. It's just gender nothing. That's what I am. I'm not a man because in my personal interpretation of my own life on a day-to-day basis, even if I was to actually reject being seen as a man, I don't even care to do that. It's okay. I feel like I am one, obviously, because I am, but also like I just happen to be a non-binary person too. I can't muster enough genuine care about my own gender to like dissuade, correct, change, or alter it in any way or the presentation thereof. And then I think one thing that may help you understand it a little bit more is because I don't have the same definition as man as I think the world does. That's a pretty big one for me. Yes, I am a man, obviously. Well, it's not obvious, but it is because I'm telling you. But when I say man, I'm not referring to whatever this sort of twisted patriarchal idea of masculinity means. That doesn't mean anything to me at all. I don't care about being seen a certain way. I don't care about like presenting myself a certain way at all. I look like this now, but like I've had times where I've looked completely differently. Maybe someday you'll cast me with crazy long hair. Maybe someday I'll get misgendered or mistaken for something else. And like, it doesn't really make me feel anything because I don't view my identity through the lens of like what society thinks it is. So that helps me a lot too. I'm like man with an asterisk. If that helps. Someone said, as someone who's also kind of in the non-binary and in the gender CICU, yeah. Someone said, I'm a woman in the way I see women, but I identify with non-binary identity as well. Literally, it's just both things being true, and it's an interesting experience for me. I can't change any of it. That's it. Because much like this article the weird article was saying like, oh, you can't change being gay. Yeah, obviously I agree, but I also can't change these elements of my identity too. And it was a struggle for me for the longest time too, because I felt like I was like lying, or I felt like I was not valid in a certain way because I wasn't, I guess, one thing or the other. But then someday I realized finally, like, I just owe it to myself to just be all that I am. But yeah, great question, because it does come up a lot, like non-binary. But then you're saying a binary gender. My experience of being a man has nothing to do with the gender binary at all. So that's it. Fun. Someone said iOS labels weren't a thing. It would be nicer if I never had to think about them, but they do serve a utility for a lot of people. iOS labels weren't held against people or like used to assume people's whole thing before you know them. If it was purely a personal choice, I would love them for sure. And I do, because they are personal choices, but like also people will judge you or say that you can't have multiple or this, that, the other. And it's just so silly. It's goofy. It really, really is. Someone said, I realize I'm non-binary thanks to you. Oh, snap. That makes me happy. That low key, high key. Because I've never like come out as anything or whatever. I just am. I is what I is, bro. But I didn't ever really use these words or this verbiage at any point for the majority of my time on YouTube. But what I told myself before I came back this year, I was like, I have such not there's no typical way of being non-binary, but I have such a not immediately obvious experience of being non-binary. I wonder if it would be mildly helpful for some people if I did let them know that it can also look like this, because literally there's an infinite number of ways of doing this. You could literally like transition, you cannot transition, you can change your pronouns, you can keep your pronouns, you can use pronouns of the opposite gender. Genders don't have opposites, but if we're looking at this through a binary lens, you can change them that way. You could use gender neutral pronouns. I realized I was like, there's so many ways of doing this. Maybe if I give people another highly visible version of this, hey, this dude using these pronouns that he was assigned because he doesn't really care but is still non-binary, then maybe some people will be like, wait, it can be like this too. And then if you start thinking about yourself, and I don't know, that's what happened for me, because like I started seeing, actually I feel like y'all are gonna laugh at me low key because this is very predictable. This is very, 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 very predictable for me personally. But y'all know Kingdom Hearts and how I'm always constantly ranting about JRPGs. I don't think I've ever told the story in its entirety. Because like me settling on this label, it's been a long time in the making, honestly. And it was many things. I could give you 50 different life experiences that made me realize what I am. Almost every experience I've ever had has made me realize I'm not binary, right? But this is so stupid. One of my favorite JRPG series, it's a video game franchise, is called Kingdom Hearts. And I've always been obsessed with the singer Hikaru Utada, who did the song, well, multiple songs for this franchise, probably Simple and Clean being the most iconic one. And so following Utada for like decades, literally as long as I've been conscious, literally a J-pop icon. Utada uses they, them, and she, her pronouns. Last I checked, I think most of their stuff just says they, them on socials nowadays. What happened was Utada came out as non-binary like a few years ago. And I got confused because the way they did it, from my perspective, I was like, what does that mean? Obviously, like me wanting to be respectful of someone who was my icon, I was like, okay, I'm super down for this, but I don't know if I understand what that means because like Utada didn't transition visibly, I guess, in any way. Didn't really change much, no name change. Pretty much they have the same image that they always have, but they were just like, nah, I'm non-binary and I have these multiple sets of pronouns now. And I was like, wait, so like you could be non-binary but like still use she, her pronouns and like look the same. What does this mean? And little did I know it was actually the first time I had seen something similar to the way I actually identify in the mainstream. This was my first time experiencing that, where somebody didn't really like transition in the traditional way. So I went from not knowing what the hell Utada was talking about, but being really determined to understand them because I respected them, to accidentally realizing that I was the same. So yeah, but that was just one story. I could literally chalk this up to like 2 or 3 different artists. I've had multiple times where someone publicly I've seen has modeled a version of this experience that I didn't even know was possible for me. And I was like, why does this seem so much less confusing than whatever cacophony of nonsense I was trying to settle on? It just seems like you don't have to settle. You can just be yourself and demand essentially that everybody respects you. And that's what Utada does, and that's what I do as well. So someone said this is why talking about queer identity is so important. Literally, because the thing that I realized, my initial blockage of being confused, it's not confusing. The only truth is Utada is a non-binary person and also presents in a way that makes them comfortable. It might happen to still be very similar to how they presented before they ever shared this knowledge, but like I was like, dang, it can be that simple. It's not confusing at all. So yay. Someone said, does it need to be overly complicated? Literally the opposite. In fact, it can be simple and clean. Sorry, that was a really bad Kingdom Hearts joke. But yeah, shout out Utada, Hikaru, as well as a couple of other people. They were very inspiring for me because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say it. This year I'm going to tell people what I am, and maybe I can confuse a bunch of people too. And if literally a fraction or just one of them goes from confusion to a deeper understanding of themselves, then it was all worth it. Let's go. Reading chat. Oh, I love this comment. Somebody said the only thing I hate is the way she had to come out because people were accusing her of queer baiting. We need to stop the hate. Yes. Yes. The queer baiting discourse has to die. It has to die because it literally makes this experience impossible. Y'all have guts, and I mean guts, to stop looking at real life people and accusing them essentially of faking some sort of queer identity or pandering or whatever it is that you're saying, because it makes it literally impossible to exist without getting these accusations, especially if it's in a way that people are not used to. I feel that very strongly. Actually, I have such like my feelings about the queer baiting discourse go deep. Companies can queer bait, and they do all the time. It's bad and it's annoying. It's cringe. They will make it seem like, oh, we put a queer relationship in our show. Haha, just kidding. Pull the wool out from over their eyes. Oh my god, I forgot to button my middle button, bro. Bro, how long have I been sitting here half naked on stream? Who was gonna tell me? Have I, on God, just been sitting here with my middle button unbuttoned? I'm naked. It's this is literal. I swear to God, it wasn't visible. Now I have to go back and look at the footage. This is literally my nightmare, is that like I'm streaming and I forgot to, like, I don't know, put my clothes on or something. I'm watching the footage back right now. Okay, scrub. No, you can't see my belly in this footage. Okay, good. I'm not flashing anybody. I think low key, my shirt came unbuttoned at some point after I stopped recording. What the hell? This is so scandalous. Someone said no one noticed. I didn't notice either until I saw myself out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, what is that? Wild horses? Anyways, that was so stupid. Okay, hold on. I'm putting this back together. Someone said I thought it was your shirt. Oh my god. Someone said this being a button-up shirt is so sick. Thank you. I like it. I really like this whole look. I wanted like the structure of like a little bit of a collar, but also with like a dark print on it. Anyways, so stupid. What I was trying to say was, yes, queer baiting is a thing that exists, and yes, companies do it, shows do it. It's annoying, it's cringe, and it's harmful. It's manipulative. Real people can't do it. There was no point in the world in which Utada was queer baiting. They never did this. And I know that this is gonna... I almost don't want to say this because I just feel like I'm being inflammatory. But I know this is going to piss you off. Harry Styles isn't queer baiting either. He's never done it. It doesn't matter how many dresses Harry Styles wears on stage. It doesn't matter how many men Harry Styles kisses, or anything that he does or does not say or do. It will never actually really be possible for Harry Styles to queer bait us. This isn't some insidious thing that he's been trying to do forever. It's not what's happening. And you can do what you will to try to frame it as this sort of really insidious action on his part. But the truth of the matter is, it's actually just a bunch of people trying to force either someone out of the closet, if you think that you're right about Harry. You're trying to force him out of the closet, that's weird. Or you're trying to force a label on him or a set of behaviors based on what you perceive his sexuality to be or not to be. Like, people can lie. Sometimes people will lie about their identity. Like, here, I'll give you a real example. I give you a real example. One of the worst lines of all time. Used to be... I think this is from Nicki Minaj, which we shouldn't be surprised at all. But in the remix of Say So, which came out in 2020, Nicki said, I used to be bi, but now I'm just hetero. Okay. So many thoughts on this. First of all, Nicki Minaj's orientation, sexuality, doesn't matter. And if you want to charitably read this as I experimented when I was younger and then realized some things about myself, that's fine. But I just for some reason think that when people think about people like Harry Styles, their mind goes to Nicki Minaj type, I'm telling everybody that I'm bi, but actually I'm not. And that's not what's happening in literally 99 out of 100 cases. It's really, really not. Someone said men can wear dresses and be any sexual preference. Clothing and fabric doesn't necessarily equate to sexual preference. Yeah, no, I think the thing is too, though, high key, on God, people will also get really pissed off at you for... I don't know why we're talking so much about all this gay stuff. Pride Month is over. They're going to come for me. But listen, people will get really, really mad at you if you are queer, but you're in a series of relationships that appear to others to be straight. I think that happens a lot. Where in Harry Styles' case, because I'm telling you, I've read enough of this discourse to know, some people would just finally feel peace. They would know peace if Harry popped out here holding hands with, I don't know, I can't think of another celebrity off the top of my head, but yeah, if he finally like dated a man or something, then people would be happy because they would feel like something got confirmed for them. But the truth of the matter is, and I just feel like there's no acknowledgement for this, Harry, if he was, could be queer and also never date a man. So I also feel like that's weird too. I don't know why people get so mad about like, oh, he exclusively, like he's only ever seen with a woman. Well, maybe that's just how that worked for him. Now, again, Harry Styles is a human that I don't know. I don't know this person, and I don't know or care about his orientation or like any of that stuff. he's an idea though, kind of. I'm just using him to point out a Harry Styles type entity could be anything and you would never know. Somebody dating women for the past 10 years doesn't actually mean that they're straight and therefore not allowed to do anything that you consider to be gay. That's not true. And also, if he was straight, that also doesn't mean that he's not allowed to do any of the more gendery or expressive things that he seems to incorporate into a lot of his image and artwork. So yeah. Some of y'all, I just wish would get the memo with the Harry Styles thing. Someone said Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is constantly getting that as well. I mean, I just think also like, I have this experience as a man. Really, everybody's brain cells just start dying when you're a beautiful man, and it's okay. I understand. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like, come on. Skincare, cool dresses, a sense of fashion does not equal le community. Oh my god. Someone says that's why I don't talk about my sexuality anymore. Yeah, nah, man. Someone says as a married to a man demi girly, I feel that. Literally, like, you're not suddenly less anything because the world looks at you and they see man, woman, must be straight. Not always the case. No. Really, really not. So silly. Someone said queerbaiting happens in anime a lot. Yes, it does. Anime is notorious as hell for that. It's really, really bad for that, for sure. Someone says definitely the same for a lot of bi women. I've heard of that experience for sure, of women saying like they feel as though their sexuality is being erased because they happen to be dating a man, but like that doesn't make you straight. No. Someone says, can we talk about how horribly Demi Lovato was treated and then the same people turned around and tried to force Harry Styles to come out? Yeah, bro, it's just not good. It's not looking good for anybody out here who's trying to present anything, let alone it being something that people aren't used to. And like, okay, please don't think this is a reach, but I swear to God, people are horrible to all celebrities, obviously. But they are definitely horrible in a specific way to non-binary celebrities. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think about Demi Lovato and the way Demi's been treated. I think about, like, Sam Smith, who, even though I'm not as big of a Sam Smith fan as I once was, the way that they're, like, kind of treated and seen as like a laughing stock, or people just on God like saying crazy stuff like, oh, we think Sam Smith is, I'm not going to repeat it because it's not necessary, but I'm just like, I don't even know if the world is ready for the non-binary celeb yet. I don't know who it's going to be that's going to come around and people finally like get it, because it hasn't been Sam Smith, it hasn't been Demi Lovato yet. I feel like Utada, largely they managed to fly under people's radar, or a lot of people might not know that they're non-binary, but I'm just like, dang, I will be so happy when there's someone who is very, 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 very popular and is not torn to shreds. Oh my gosh, it's a mess, dog. It's absolutely a mess. Reading chat. Someone said Ezra Miller. Okay, yikes though, because Ezra Miller, maybe we don't want everybody to represent us. Ezra has some serious problems that should absolutely be addressed. Hey, we're also capable of wrongdoing. Yikes. But yeah, no, in general, like, dog, it's rough out here. It really, really is. Someone said Uzi. It's pretty bad. Like, people don't even like respect Uzi's pronouns at all. Can I talk about that low key? I feel like we're now getting into the weeds here, because a lot of y'all might not know who or y'all might not know much about Lil Uzi Vert. This is more hip-hop news, and I tend not to talk about hip-hop news. But Uzi, they came out as a non-binary person. They literally, on God, put... Oh, wait, people are pointing out Elliot Page. Elliot is non-binary, right? Wait, did I just make that up? Because I do feel like you're right. Elliot Page is very, very, very popular. I think he is non-binary, but I may be lying right now. I might be lying, and I'm sorry if I am. Yes. Okay. Let's go. We've got some representation. Elliot Page is lit, honestly, and I appreciate them. Anyways, I forgot about Elliot in this discussion. But listen. Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you the story of Lil Uzi Vert because it's very bad. Uzi came out, put they them pronouns in their actual bio, was literally showing up on stage in shirts that say they them. All of Uzi's press got changed over to they them pronouns. Their Spotify bio says they. Every time anyone would write about them and it was coming from their publicist, it was they. And for some reason, almost everybody collectively just decided like, nah, we don't believe that Uzi is non-binary, and it has been exclusively like the wrong set of pronouns. And I'm just like, how? This person literally came out, literally actually came out, and everybody's just like, nah, he, him, and I'm just like, oh my god. We ain't got nowhere. We're literally not we are making progress, and I'm grateful every day for the progress that we're making. Yes, but at the end of the day, when someone can literally change their pronouns and then everybody just collectively decides to ignore this to the point where I don't think most people know. I literally don't think most people know about Lil Uzi Vert's preferred pronouns. We really got to fix this, Joey. We got to fix this, man. So as a non-binary person, it's horrifying how little people respect pronouns. Seeing the very few celebs who have been out always get called their own pronouns. Literally, I'm somebody whose pronouns doesn't even change, and I get just demoralized, honestly, seeing how quick people are to disregard them. It's just a mess, man. It's absolutely a mess. Someone said the comment section always throws me off with Uzi. Well, yeah, because someone will say something about them, and then all the comments are like the wrong pronouns, and it's like, wait, what? Which is correct? Now, listen, if at some point Uzi was to come out and be like, JK, that's just actually not how I identify, and everything switched back over, that's not suddenly going to mean that everybody was right for disregarding this, what obviously appears to be non-binary identity. Like, it's just wild to me, dog. It really, really is. Someone said homophobia in hip-hop is just sad. Queerphobia, but all of it happens in hip-hop, and it's not a good thing. Someone said Bob the drag queen is non-binary too. Let's go. The more rep, the better. Someone said Bella Ramsey. I like them, and y'all are foul for how y'all treated Bella Ramsey. On God, people be so crazy about this person. If you don't know who I'm talking about, they were in It's The Last of Us, right? And ever since they were literally a child, literally an actual child, people were saying the most insane things about them. Like, oh, Bella, I'm sorry, I feel weird saying this. They were like, oh, Bella's not hot enough to play this role. You are talking about a character that is actually a child. Like, even the original character is a child, and you're online trying to do discourse about this. And then, yes, during this, I believe, they came out and was like, they were like, yeah, I'm non-binary, and then they get a bunch of crap for that as well. But yeah, this was literally a teenager, and y'all were doing all this weird stuff, being weird about their identity and stuff, and I'm just like, but I have a lot of respect, honestly, for the Bella Ramseys of this world. I really, really do. Someone said Bella voiced Hilda, and it's the cutest cartoon. I keep meaning to watch Hilda because the art style looks really neat. Anyway, moving on from our little non-binary corner chats. Sad days. Sad days. Someone said a child trying to survive the apocalypse. Yeah, like, what? Sorry that this character didn't look like a Snapchat filter or something. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? All right. I forgot that I had another topic. Pull my agenda back open. Someone said Hilda mention. Yeah, low key, that one looks so good, dog. Like let me show you the list of kids cartoons that I really, really, really want to watch, but I just haven't made myself start for some reason. This one looks super dope, and I want to check it out because the color palette is so nice. I proudly will watch a show meant for kids. I don't care. I earned my right to watch as many kids cartoons as I want. So I really want to watch Hilda, and I also like badly want to watch what is this one called? Is it called Amphibia? Yes, I think this is the one I'm thinking of. I want to watch this one too, because low-key it looks really lit, and I've only ever heard good things about it. So yeah, I probably need to watch this one at some point. I need to watch Hilda, and I feel like there's one other cartoon that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. But yeah, I need to lock in, bro. I need to lock in and finally watch Amphibia and Hilda because it looks so cute, honestly. I mean, Amphibia looks pretty dope. I love me a good like kids cartoon that has like undercurrents of like weird, scary, dark stuff in it. Chef's kiss. Sign me up. Someone says Steven Universe still gets watched to this day, and I'm happily in my early 30s. Literally never too old to do things that make you happy. On God. Someone said, have you watched The Owl House? I've also heard good things about The Owl House. I feel like maybe that was the third one I was trying to remember. On, like, literally, I have only ever heard people say that this is a good show. And people seem to have so much love for it. And I also like the art style a lot. And for me, art style is a big thing. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot watch shows that I don't really like the art style of. But all three of these are just so nice. They're so nice. Someone said Over the Garden Wall is pretty weird. Over the Garden Wall, Gravity Falls. For me, it's Gravity Falls till the end of time. It's Gravity Falls until really the cows come home. In my opinion, just me, this is the greatest animated television show of all time. I don't know, bro. I like a lot of them, and me saying that doesn't mean I think that other ones are bad. I can only be real with you, and nothing has ever made me feel the way Gravity Falls has. I'm happy that other people have their favorites, but I'm just proud to have my favorite, which is Gravity Falls. I rewatched this so many times. Anytime there's anybody in my life who has not seen some say Adventure Time is a completely valid favorite, because that show is also amazing, and I need to watch the entirety of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. Anytime anyone in my life has not seen Gravity Falls, and I can just snag them for like a weekend or so, I will make them watch it. I love Gravity Falls. It's so stupid. Like, the show's not stupid. It's stupid how much I enjoy it. Someone said it's Adventure Time for me. No, Adventure Time is also so good though. Adventure Time is really so good, and it has so many good moments. They're doing a new show. I don't know if you saw. It was like I think they're doing a new show with Princess Bubblegum. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just lying about my entertainment news today. Let me see. Princess Bubblegum show. Yes, I am right about this one thing. The Bubblegum and Marceline show. I mean, that should be fun, I feel. Probably. Hopefully. I'm happy that Adventure Time is still going strong. Someone says we love anything from Rebecca Sugar. Funnily enough, another MB. Oh, true. That is true, isn't it? Steven Universe is pretty good. Now listen though. Listen to me. Listen. I'm not knocking Steven Universe because I literally watched so much of this. I will say, not saying it's less than or whatever, I got lost in the sauce with Steven Universe around the 50 episode mark. What happened to me was I was binging it. I was like, Steven. I was trying to watch this before the new Steven bomb happened, so this would have been a really long time ago. And I think, 50 episodes in, I accidentally burned myself out from watching too much Steven Universe too quickly, because I was like, what is happening? You've got the gyms and the boy, but the boy is actually this person. And so I need to go back and like actually watch Steven Universe with my brain turned on, and I feel like it'll be a better experience for me because I started getting so confused where I was like, wait, did I miss something? And I did. It was my fault for not watching it critically. Someone said, I've never seen Steven Universe. Should I watch? You definitely should. I mean, I feel like especially it's such a good run of like the first few episodes. All of it is fun, but like it's a really strong show in the parts where it's strong. Someone says you got to give Steven Universe another shot. Oh, someone mentioned Avatar. Wait, I'm mad at you for that because low key, this is, oh, not the live action. Oh no. Animation. Okay, not the live action. Low key, this could also be the greatest of all time too, though. You know what? Gravity Falls is the greatest animated show of all time, but I actually think that Avatar: The Last Airbender is the original greatest animated show of all time. I think I'm gonna have to say that because I wasn't even thinking about that one because it's been a little while since I've watched Avatar, but like, no, you're cooking with that. You're absolutely cooking. I think the thing for me is Gravity Falls is just closer to my aesthetic because of all like the weird, goofy, just creepy existential horror stuff that happens or does not happen, but Avatar is literally just such a good show. It's like unmatched, dude. Like the story arcs, just the character development that you get for almost everybody is so good, and like you feel like so much work was put into this. It's even such a good mix of like episodes that push the story along and episodes that like they're not even filler because if it's not pushing the story forward, it at least grows a character relationship in some way. Everything, oh, I pressed the wrong button. Everything about this is just so well thought out to me. God, I love Avatar, man. I really do. Someone said the love and care put into Avatar is so wonderful. Genuinely seems like such a passion project. Yeah, no, that's it. Someone said Legend of Korra is good too, in my opinion. I also agree. It is, Korra is really fun, is how I would describe that one. But yeah, Avatar. Oh, there's something about that. There's really something about that. Someone says it's pretty effing funny too. It is a very funny show. I rewatched it as an adult and I'm like, what? I'm still laughing? That's crazy. That's crazy as hell. Anyways, enough about that. Thank you whoever mentioned Hilda, because then I started talking about like 50 other shows. I love animation, man. I'll never get over it. Okay, so the actual last thing, because I said the last thing was my last thing, but this is my actual literal last thing, I swear. Short story. Accused of being AI written wins overall Commonwealth Prize. All right, so I'm leaving you with this story. Well, I'm not leaving. This might take a second to get into. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but the reason I'm not making this into a full video is because it's too similar to something I've already covered, but I can't move past this. Jameer Nazir's The Serpent and the Grove, which critics allege has, quote, obvious markers of AI use, was described as, quote, original, poetic, and deeply moving by the judging chair. So, it won in May, I guess a couple of weeks ago, but critics on X and Blue Sky were like, bro, this is obviously AI. Let me see if I can find the, here we go. Let me see if I can find the text that people were mad about. Okay, so I will say before reading this, no matter how this was written, it's definitely strange text. They say the grove still hums at noon, not the bee's neat industry or the clean rasp of cutlass on vine, but a belly sound, as if the earth swallows a shout and holds it there. People who pass keep to the track and do not look into the bush where the stone rings lie. Ask the oldest in the village and you'll hear some version of, it had a well there once and a woman. The grove ain't forget. Sun on galvanize is a cruel instrument. It beats until the roof talks back in a dry moan. The day the grove began to remember, over the roof, or the roof over Vishnu Muhammad's shack groans like a drum skin too tight for the heat. Inside, air clung thick as porridge skin, damp earth, wood smoke, and the sour tang of fermenting cocoa. A soot-blackened lamp hung from a nail. No fan, no bulb, no hum, M-dash, only the thin light slipping between warped boards and the breath of hills holding their heat like a secret. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. Okay, hold on. It's not necessarily some of the weirder lines in here that bother me. Like saying the sun beats on the roof until it talks back in a dry moan is an incredibly odd image, but it does make a certain sense. It's more so just when you're like, not X, not Y, but only Z after the M dash. I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Again, I don't know how this was written, and this could still be written by a human. I hate that literature is getting to a point where you trying to write things that are interesting and odd and strange is now putting you at risk of using AI, or people are using AI. I don't know which one is true. But headed back to the Guardian article. This person says, well, this is a first. A ChatGPT generated story won a prestigious literary prize, the Commonwealth Prize. Not X, not Y, not Z, but Z sentences everywhere, the hum, stroke, and plenty of other obvious markers of AI writing. And I'm just like, ah. In the wake of the controversy, the Commonwealth Foundation conducted a review of the winners, which it said involved looking at drafts, timestamp documents, and notes. We are satisfied with the testimonies of our writers and their confirmation that AI was not used in their writing. So Nazir, the winner, will receive an additional $2,500 on top of the $2,500 he won for being named the Caribbean winner last month. Judging chair Luis Daughtry described his piece as an original, poetic, and deeply moving story. People also call attention to lines like, she had the kind of walking that made benches become men. And I'm like, what? And Marsha lived 2 bins down. She was big in the way of women who never apologized to furniture. It's not funny. It's so interesting how many different combinations of English words there are. And some of you will really just find the worst possible ones. What the hell does she was big in the way of women who never apologized to furniture mean? Anyway, sorry, I'm screaming. In a film released by the Commonwealth Foundation on Tuesday, he says that V.S. Naipaul and Derek Walcott had been significant influences on him. He said he wrote 6 or 7 drafts of his prize-winning story, and he speaks about his use of speech-to-text software, explaining that he could only see 3 or 4 lines of text on his phone screen at any one time. So he would perfect each line before moving on, which is how his story ended up being highly polished. The story began in my childhood in rural Trinidad, he said. Each day I walked to school past rum shops where cane workers and laborers gathered. I remember the voices, the laughter, the arguments, and conversations that shaped village life. It's saying initial reactions were negative, with one user saying it's disappointing and disheartening. It feels like they wanted to stick to their guns after the entire Gen AI uproar. I might think twice now before submitting my stories here. Of course, we have Pangram hopping in. I talked about Pangram in my last video about AI in literature, where basically it's an AI tool that will just read text and tell you whether it thinks it was made with AI, but it's pointless because it does false positives all the time. After he was announced as the winner, they reported running his story through the detection software. Pangram flags at 100%, but also come on, if you know, you know, said Wharton professor Ethan Malik. Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. So all of that was interesting. And then I forget who it was who managed. Was it The Atlantic? Hold on, I have this for you all right here. Yes, it is The Atlantic. They managed to conduct an interview with this person. They managed to conduct an interview with this person, and it only got weirder. It only got a little bit weirder. Okay. So the 62-year-old Trinidadian writer was named a winner, blah, blah, blah. It was accused, we get it. Inscrutable lines plucked from his dense prose were mocked and memed. We talk about the benches becoming men. Another woman smiled like sunrise over a sink. And then they were saying at this point, like, even other people who submitted, or other winners of this prize came under suspicion. But this is so interesting. In a phone interview, Nazir told me he feels vindicated and relieved, basically that the Commonwealth came forward and said, no, he didn't use it. Look, I didn't use it, he said about AI. Now that he has won the prize, he said he's free at last to explain his process and clear his name. We talked for more than an hour about his writing process, his health, he referenced complications with both diabetes and cancer, and his views on technology. On several occasions, he seemed to avoid answering my questions directly, and when he did, some of the answers were circuitous. I was surprised to hear him opine that AI-generated writing will soon be widely accepted in literature, even as he maintained that he didn't use AI tools in creating his story. Uh-oh. He seemed bullish, actually, on AI overall, viewing it as a revolutionary technology, though he worried about the repercussions of saying so. Uh-oh, part 2. And although he couldn't name any works by Derek Walcott, a writer he cited as one of his main literary inspirations, he said he had prepared a collection of short stories in Walcott's style, which he hopes to publish soon. Oh no. So I do think there's a long difference, or a big difference between, like, okay, we have a guy and he wrote a book and he wrote a short story and he used a lot of weird sentences and some people think it's AI. And he said it's not. And, oh, we have a guy who thinks that AI writing is the coolest thing since sliced bread. It's revolutionary. And someday everybody's going to be on board. But I promise I didn't use it for my story. Oh, no. Oh, no. But yeah, anyways, the rest of the article, they basically plucked the highlights. It doesn't get any more specific than that. But yeah, I just feel like, chat, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Someone said when the defense is that AI will be everywhere soon, it's so threatening. Yeah, I definitely do not want it to be everywhere. I don't want to live in a place where I don't want literature to move into a space where we are all accepting AI. And I guess it sucks that we can't exactly, like, without a doubt, accuse people of this, because there's no way of really gatekeeping it without being terrible humans. It's pretty terrible to take something that somebody wrote with their own brain and label it AI. But sometimes I have to use my brain. Someone said being accused of using AI to write is embarrassing, whether you did it or not. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I wish there was a more equitable, or not equitable, but a more like fair way of having this discussion. Because I feel like at the end of the day, if you are suspicious of something being AI, you absolutely reserve the right to try to get to the bottom of it. But it's like impossible to do that without possibly falsely accusing people and basically indicating that they should lose their rewards and stuff. So it's like, we're in such a weird time at this point. Excuse me. Someone said, I hate this when people use and consume AI. Yeah, we're not getting anywhere as long as it's continued to be normalized like this. But yeah, nah. Look at this interview. Do you have a favorite of Walcott's poems? Keep in mind, the suit just said that this is one of his biggest inspirations. And the author's like, a story of Walcott's? The interviewer's like, yes. And he's like, to be honest with you, I can't think of a specific favorite right now. I am getting a little bit of brain fog and recall. I had an excellent memory, and now it haunts me at times because I can't remember even basic stuff. I think it's part of the condition, the illness, and I'm on chemotherapy as well, so that's a hard thing. And it's like, okay, literally not trying to be dismissive of chemotherapy brain fog at all. Only saying, like, uh-oh, it's just not a good look if somebody's like, okay, well then can you talk about some of your human influences? And you can't even name like a work created by these people. It's just not good. That part specifically kind of reminded me of that one time Russell Brand went on TV and was trying to tell everybody how like, oh yeah, I'm so inspired by the Bible now after all of these actual heinous allegations that I've been accused of and by multiple women and also girls. I found Jesus, and I forget who it was. Was it Pierce Morgan? Was like, oh really? Well, can you name anything from the Bible ever that you found helpful? And Russell Brand was like, it was so bad. Actually, I gotta see if I can find that clip because it was literally, it lives in my head rent free. I'm not gonna lie to you. Russell Brand struggles to find single Bible verse. Okay, let's see. I think I found the clip. Okay, yeah. This is gonna be really painful. Russell Brand struggles to find Bible verse that he claims absolves him of sex with teenagers, which is a thing he was accused of, by the way, among multiple things. If you've never seen this, like 2 months ago, dog, you didn't miss anything. But look, someone said, why do they always bring up the Bible? You're asking me. Oh, yes, I just realized I don't even have my headphones.
Was that the one you took into court?
You're the very one.
Okay. What was your thinking of taking it into court, and what you were seeing?
Hold on,
looking
let's
at
just
some passages.
Right. Oh wait. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I should stop talking over it. Just put the captions on.
That's asking you a question about your Bible.
Yes, if you want to.
Thank you. Was that the one you took into court?
You're the very one.
Okay. What was your thinking of taking it into court, and what you were seeing, looking at some passages? What were the relevant passages for you?
All right. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you.
You're going to die from cringe.
Yeah, I didn't know that, did I?
A little bit. It was this from Isaiah. You're right, Bear did say, be chilled. Sometimes I lose the chill, man. It's pretty...
You can't name a single Bible. You can't even John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son that whoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. You could not pull a single verse from this Bible that allegedly saved you.
Is this? They don't like that, do they, in the old gallery? But remember, you just said it's a hired spot. This is from Isaiah.
Genuinely one of the worst, like, most embarrassing things that has ever occurred on television, dog. Someone say he's looking through it like a kid before a test. Me when I did not study at all. Also, if you're looking for Isaiah, go to the table of contents. You dummy. Come on.
Man, I'm gonna mark it before.
Listen, I'm not here to like stan Pierce Morgan at all, but low key, this was a generational setup, okay?
It says here.
Yes, Russell.
The verse that I was looking at that day was not this. I can't actually find the verse that I had that day, but this is good enough. This is from Isaiah 12.
one of the most excruciating watches of all time. Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying, like, dog, now I've switched topics from talking about AI to Russell Brand and his attempt to pivot to Christianity to absolve himself from his nasty offenses that he's been accused of. These people are not Christians, bro. That's why at the end of the day, my smoke and my beef, it's not even with Christianity itself. It's actually like the people like hiding behind this as a reason to be the worst people. These are the issue, for real. But yeah, I'm sorry, as like a former church goer, I just found the idea of like, he didn't even have a good strategy for this. You didn't even have a good strategy. Literally the easiest thing you could have done is just pull a John 3:16. Just give a verse about Jesus, you know, saved us, and that just was really that was impactful to me. I felt like I wasn't alone. Or he could have easily probably flipped to like Psalms, I feel like, or Proverbs. Find one of the depressing Psalms and be like, oh, it was like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Like, you don't know anything about the Bible. You don't even know the basics. I haven't cracked open a Bible in years, and if I had to, I probably actually I want to know how quickly I could find a verse. Stay right there. Stay right where you are. Okay, no cheating. I haven't opened it yet. Just trying to fix my chair a little bit. Oof. All right. Look. How quickly could I find a Bible verse if I was trying to make it seem like Jesus saved me and I did this in the courtroom? I'd be like, oh, you know what, Pierce? That's a really good oh, wait, crap. But I actually never have opened this Bible. Not even once. But I'm in the table of contents, and I'm going to be like, I really appreciate you asking me that. I think I'm just going to skip right over to Psalms, page 565. I was just getting really inspired by a lot of the things that David was saying about difficult times that he had gone through, just kind of wondering why, like, the heathens were prevailing, and why did God abandon him. Here we go. Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, come upon me to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell. I just felt like that verse was really speaking to how even if people are, you know, unjustly coming for you, you can still find strength and resolve in, you know, the word of the Lord. It literally took 20 seconds. 20 seconds. You should at least know that Psalms probably has a bunch of verses that would apply to somebody who is on trial for something. So stupid. Oh my God. Someone said fast work. Thank you. I could have done this on national television without embarrassing myself for sure. Literally have not opened a Bible in so long. I just have this one because it's red. And I just like the color. I have a whole stack of like red books. I have this one. I have the Communist Manifesto, 1984, and a bunch of other books that I don't remember, just stacked on one of my shelves. But yeah, I'm dead. Someone said I tuned back into the stream. You're just in time for Bible service, Sunday service, I guess. My Lord. Someone said, D'Angelo, please never commit a crime, because this clip would be the funniest thing ever to play in a courtroom. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have revealed that, because then if I ever do have to pull out a Bible to appear remorseful, you're going to be like, but he can do that as a party trick. We saw him do it on stream. We saw him do it on stream. What are you talking about? Someone said he had weeks to prepare some random verses. Literally, like, brother. Someone said buying books for their color is wild. I mean, I also like the content of the books. The Bible's nice. The Communist Manifesto is neat. And I like 1984 by George Orwell. I really, really did. Someone said the Bible and the Communist Manifesto together. I mean, they have a lot of overlap, honestly. Jesus definitely would be a much stauncher supporter of Karl Marx than he would of, say, any of the founding fathers or the current president or any billionaire. So it really be like that. Someone said you Bible mocked him. I did. I never. Don't test me. I really don't. What y'all may not realize is when I was a kid, there was this game for Game Boy Advance called the Bible game. Oh my God. Someone actually talked about this. Scott the Woz actually somehow got his hands on the Bible game. When is this from? 8 years ago? Heck yeah, bro. But anyways, I was a Bible game player extraordinaire. I played this on GBA. Yes, and it looks like absolute trash. Literally so bad. The voice acting was so bad. But I took this joint seriously. In fact, I actually still have the Bible game. I think. Hold on. I think I might literally have it right here. Hey! Yo! Look. I literally still have the Bible game. Ignore the green parts being green screened out. So truly, it goes way back for me. I have all of my old Game Boy Advance games. Yeah. Don't try me. Don't test me. Don't play me on this Bible game knowledge for real. It's literally by my desk because back when I recorded my Spy Kids video, I had moved all of my like old game stuff into this office space because I had a segment in there where I was playing like old Spy Kids games on GBA. That's so funny. Someone said, I remember that game. Yeah, it was very real. It actually happened. Not good. Basically, the way it worked is you would like, there was like a few levels, a few environments, and you had to like roam the map trying to collect keys so that you could unlock the church at the end of the level. And the problem was the keys had been stolen by not demons, right? That's a little too for a Christian game for children. Deceivers, who were obviously demons. So really, if you think about it, my parents were trying to be like, oh yes, we want him to be, Christian and good. But they gave me a video game where you're essentially hunting demons and stealing back the keys of the church. Which, by the way, all the churches essentially are portals in this video game. So I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Demons are awesome. That was my takeaway from the Bible game. I was just like, God, I love demons. This is so fun. And it's never gotten better. Reading chat. I'm reading chat. Someone said my mom sent me an old DS, but I gotta find some games. You can find them pretty easily for sure. I mean, you can even do other things like buying a flash cart and then loading on whatever games you want. There's so many options for real. Someone said, sorry for the personal question. Were you raised Catholic or something else? Something else. I was not raised Catholic, but like in San Antonio, a lot of people are. I went to a Catholic school, for example. My college, Our Lady of the Lake University, is a Catholic university, but I wasn't there because I was Catholic. We were almost all Christian though. Yes. Not all of us, but many. Someone said Portals and Demons, they sound fun. Yeah. I mean, the game sucked though, because I forgot to tell you. So the gag was when you find the demons, the deceivers, you don't defeat them with like violence or whatever. Oh, by the way, you're also collecting pieces of the armor of God, which I completely forgot. Hello. Killing demons to go rob churches of their like legendary armor items. Lit. But when you encounter the demons in this game, you don't defeat them with weapons. You defeat them with Bible trivia knowledge. And so the demon is like, oh, wow. You really think you can defeat me? Oh, yeah? Well, what liquid did Jesus turn water into? And then you have to literally pick from a drop down menu, and you're like, wine, loser. And then if you answer enough questions correctly, if you answer enough questions correctly in these games, the demon is like, holy crap, you know so much about the Bible. Let me just kill myself and give you the key. Very odd game. Very, very, very odd game. But what I did, my ADHD self, I learned the answer to every single question in this game. All of them. Every single possible question in the Bible game, I memorized the answer to. And to the point where I didn't even have to read them. I was just like, John 3:16, click. Who did? Oh, Gethsemane, click. Who did? Oh, the 11th hour. Like, it was so funny. That's just how I do it. Honestly, that's what I do. Someone said this is why you like turn-based content now. Yeah, nothing has ever changed for me, and my personality has not grown or shifted in any meaningful way since age 4 or 5. Absolutely not. Someone said, did you know the answer just from the wording? Literally, sometimes I just saw the shape of the question, and I was like, the answer's probably John 3:16. So stupid. Someone said memorizing, I do that too. Yeah, and it got locked in my memory. Like, I have some knowledge of what's in this book still. Yeah, I mean, like, it's fine. The pacing, I'm not gonna lie, kind of off. From a pacing perspective, I don't think that's the Bible's strongest suit. But when it starts getting good, it starts getting good as hell. I'd say right about when the New Testament kicks up and Jesus shows up and he's like, hey, I'm literally God's gift to earth. And then everybody in the world is just like, oh my God, no, he's too sexy. We have to kill him. And Jesus is like, you may do that, or you may think that you're doing that, but it's actually impossible for you to kill me because I'm an idea. And they're like, God, he has to die. And they crucify him and he comes back. And he's like, hey, bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. Well, actually you have, because now I'm going back to be with my Father. Y'all suck. And the disciples were like, whoa. And Jesus was like, just kidding, bestie. I'm coming back. Don't worry. And everyone has been waiting ever since. What a cliffhanger. Jesus is literally so dramatic for that. Like, brother, or father, son, you couldn't have given like a little heads up, like, oh, I'm thinking like the 1 to 2 millennium range. No, he literally just left that open in the air. He's like, yeah, someday, someday I'll come back. And now, like, billions of people on this earth are waiting with bated breath for one person's return. Literally the biggest attention seeker in history and my biggest inspiration, Jesus of Nazareth. Someone said, can we get an X out of 10 for the Bible? I rate the Bible a solid 7 out of 10. 7 is a very, like, meaningful number within the Bible, so I feel like it's only fair. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Parts of it could be more interesting, and it's too long, but there's some good stuff in there for sure. Someone said he is the drama. Jesus is literally, like, Jesus is that girl, to be honest. That's my opinion as someone who's not a Christian. Just like, if you really think about the audacity of Jesus Christ, he really was who he thought he was. That's how I feel about him. Someone said Jesus went to get milk. Yeah, there's a lot of milk, clearly. Someone said, can we talk about how much of a dickhead God is in the Old Testament? Yes! Literally the antagonist. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Even when I was actually a child and I was supposedly a Christian, I remember reading the Old Testament and seeing God do all of these, like, heinously vengeful and just awful things to people for just making mistakes a lot of the time. And I was like, this is the bad guy. What is going on here? But the way the Bible is sort of structured is like God by himself is a really scary dude, but thankfully, because Jesus exists, God is not like as likely to be angry at us because Jesus died for our sins. Ultimately, there had to be some sort of act of violence in order for us to be forgiven, and luckily for us, Jesus kind of took one for the team. But yeah, in a world without Jesus, we would actually live in constant terror of an omnipowerful God that was just always looking for a reason to strike us down or turn us into salt or like literally swallow us into the earth forever. So scary. Someone said, I don't forgive him for what he did to Job. He will literally just mess with people for no reason. God will just be like, you know what? I'm gonna allow you, being like Satan, just go mess up this dude's whole life just to prove himself to me. And then Job is like, God, what is going on? Like, I'm losing everything. And God's like, well, as long as you're proving your allegiance to me. Or like that one time, God basically had one dude in there. He was like, you should just kill your son to prove yourself to me. And the guy was like, wow, that feels kind of a lot, but I guess. And then at the end, God was like, just kidding. This dude was gonna kill his son. Not a nice character as he's sketched out in the Old Testament. Shout out the New Testament. It's some good PR. It really, really is. Oh my God. Someone said when God told Abraham to sacrifice his son just to test his faith. I always hated that story. Yeah, there's just some wild stuff in there, dog. Like, what an interesting collection of literature the Bible is. That's how I feel. Someone said it was just a prank. Dude, it was literally rage bait. Honestly, God was low-key just rage baiting everybody and they kept falling for it. So really it's on them, not him. Someone said, what did I miss? Nothing. I'm giving you my contemporary review of the Bible because I cracked it open in an effort to prove that I know more about it than Russell Brand. I'm so stupid. Someone said when I was a kid, I would feel guilty for feeling bad because that means I thought I was adding to Jesus' suffering in Gethsemane. Yeah, a lot of like, you should feel, I don't know, thankful that Jesus died for me. But I always remember being a kid and I was just like, but did I ask him to though? I was like, thank you, I guess, but I wouldn't have died for me, and certainly not for the entire world. Like, you didn't have to do that, broski. It wasn't on you to do. That was a lot of energy, really, but shout that out. Shout that out. Someone said several of us can't say anything because we do the same to Sims. Okay, I mean, to be fair, if we were given the opportunity to cause destruction in an environment that wasn't actually real, it's fun to do. It can be fun to like, well, I don't want to say torture your Sims because that sounds crazy, but like, you know, be a little bit dysfunctional and godlike in The Sims. It can be fulfilling in some way. You play video games and it's like, oh, rescue the penguin in Super Mario 64. And I'm just like, or throw him off the cliff. You ever did that one? There's this old platform video game called Super Mario 64. And there's a baby penguin. And it's your job to get the penguin back to its mother. It'll cry and cry like, wah, wah. But one funny thing that you can do, oh look, there's literally a video of it because this is just such a fun thing to do. You can also just hurl the baby penguin to its demise. And you know what? As much as I would like to say, no, if I was God, I would be nicer. I mean, I was also that kid who just did that as well. So really, maybe God is just all of us. And I shouldn't be judging. Maybe I shouldn't be judging. Like, you can literally just reset it. It's not that big of a deal. Someone said, or eat it as Yoshi. I would eat the penguin too if I could. Yeah. Someone said, I love the baby penguin. No, I thought it was so cute. To be fair, I saved it afterwards. And maybe that's how God thinks of us. And he's just like, this is literally not even real. Like, this is just so funny. He's like, I'm going to give this person 5 different disorders, because it's funny. And then I'm over here just like, huh? Maybe. I don't know. Someone says sometimes you just got to eat a penguin. Really, you do. Maybe sometimes you just got to do it. Someone said that's what God did by flooding the entire world. Look, it was literally just like feeling cute might flood the entire earth, and did. According to the story anyways. Someone said God thinks for toys. I mean, are we not? I mean, I'm definitely not. Please don't play with me. But like, if God was real, maybe he thinks that we are. That's the only option I can accept at this point. That's it. I think my whole life back when I was a Christian, it's like you have to accept like this true and loving God. And I'm like, I have a version of him that I made up in my own head that is like maybe true or loving, but that's not what's in this damn book. What is in this damn book is somebody who is playing in people's faces. That is what he did. He play and play and play and play and play. What do you mean you just flooded the entire world? You didn't have to do that. Why did you turn her into salt? That's crazy. All she did was turn around. Why did you? I'm like, bro, that was your son. On God. No pun intended. He's just constantly playing in people's faces the entire Bible, and I'm tired of it. Someone says like he's playing Barbies. Literally. Someone said, I want to know about the historical flood. I read Gilgamesh, and they mention a flood. I've always wondered where that came from. Same though, honestly. Gilgamesh is such an interesting story as well. It's like one of the first adventure novels. It's really neat. It's the original MCU. Reading chat. Someone said, why did I come back and penguins are on the chopping block? Too real. Listen, I would not hurt a penguin in real life, I swear to God, but something about that Super Mario 64 penguin, he was just there and the cliff was there and I was bored and, you know, wah! Oh, nah. Someone said, D'Angelo, have you read any Brandon Sanderson books? Would you believe that I have not? This is the weirdest thing about me is I do like fantasy novels a lot, actually, and I like reading, but for some reason I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book, not even one. It's also weird because he has so many. Like, that's like 50 books. Actually, I have no idea how many books Brandon Sanderson has written, but that's so many books I've never read. Someone said there are countless flood stories. There's a famous Chinese one too. They usually seem to be based on different catastrophic natural events. That makes sense to me. Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, flooding is scary, honestly. And when you see the earth reacting in such a big way, it totally makes sense to be like, oh, this must be the wrath of something. We must have pissed somebody off for real. Someone said, I am trying to get through a Brandon Sanderson book and I cannot stand his prose. Ooh, yeah. Brando Sando tends to cause a lot of, shall I say, polarization over his writing style. But I personally feel as though there's a place for very unadorned prose and there's a place for very elevated literature stuff. Personally, I tend to strongly gravitate towards things that are written a little more literary-ish than your average Brandon Sanderson novel, but I definitely don't begrudge anybody for appreciating the simplicity of the way that he tends to write. So I don't think I dislike Brandon Sanderson as much as some people do, but I also just don't have any strong feelings of positivity towards his work either. Someone said his prose is weak and his stories and characters are good. I think a lot of people kind of struggle with this idea that like a book can still serve a purpose to people even if the prose isn't great, because it does kind of seem counterintuitive or like it's against the idea of what makes a book good. But I'm like, if people are having fun reading, then I'm happy. I think we should all be writing more books with our brains and not generating AI trash, and we should all be doing activities that take time, like reading. It's good for us no matter what it is, I feel. Someone said, I do like his plot though, it's just hard for me to get through it. Lol, the story I'm reading is very interesting. At least he has good ideas, like his whole universe and multiple intersecting things. That's what draws me to him. I do think I've cracked open a Brandon Sanderson book before and then just kind of been like, oh, let me save this for another time when I'm in a different headspace. And that's why I have not read any of his novels just yet. Reading chat. Some say I joined late today. That's okay. If you missed the video, it'll come out later, as it always does. Someone says shouting out my girl Octavia Butler again. Real gripping sci-fi. It's always going to be Octavia Butler for me, and I'm excited because I'm going to read Wild Seed. Is that a book by her? Or Pattern Master. Or I think I'm going to read both of them. So I'm very excited because I think those are the next two novels that I'm going to read, and I'm excited. Someone said, "Is prose for writers what art style is for artists?" Yes, that is literally the simplest and most accurate way of thinking about it. Here, I'll show you what prose is right now. All right, so I will give the example of this is gonna be bad, and I'm sorry. I hate writing live, especially when I'm trying to write things that are overwrought, but this is an example of going way too hard with your prose. Okay, she picked up the glass of water. Then what happened? I'm trying to put myself into this from like a sensory perspective. Was it wet? Was it cold? I feel like maybe it was cold. She picked up the glass of water. The cold radiated through the ornate pattern etched into the cup. Oh my god, this is so bad. And we'll do an M dash. The type of cold, no, with an intensity. No, we don't need an M dash. With an intensity that felt more like heat. Yeah, okay, great. She picked up the glass of water. The cold radiated through the ornate pattern etched into the cup with an intensity that felt more like heat. We'll say closer to, instead of more like, because that is more literary. Okay, great. She lifted the, I don't know, let's just be annoying. Let's pull out an annoying simile here. Fountain of youth. No, that's too much. She lifted the, I don't know. I want to put something here that is like annoyingly overwrought. Like, what was that big cup that people used to want? The Holy Grail? Is that a cup? Is the Holy Grail a cup? Chats? I don't know. Yes, it is. The Holy Chalice. Okay, great. We can use this as a simile. She lifted the drink to her lips. M dash, her Holy Grail, her sacred chalice. This was isn't just refreshment. This was renewal. Okay, great. Done. Actually, I should make this an M dash instead of a comma because it's not good. Okay, there we go. So this is an example of prose that I would say is like terrible because it's too overwrought. She picked up the glass of water. The cold radiated through the ornate pattern etched into the cup with an intensity that felt closer to heat. She lifted the drink to her lips, her Holy Grail, her sacred chalice. This wasn't just refreshment. This was renewal. That's bad prose. Similarly, there are some authors that would just say, she drank a glass of cold water. And this is sort of the extent of prose. This is why reading can be such an interesting experience for people, because for every A, you will get a B. And so one of these things will be more interesting to you. And if you find yourself appreciating the simplicity of, hey, sometimes people drink water and it's just freaking water, you probably will like simpler prose. If you actually enjoy the usage of strange and purplish words, you might like something more ornate. Personally, I think I tend to fall in the middle, but closer to purple prose. But yeah, I think the thing with Brandon Sanderson is like almost all of his sentences can just feel kind of like just saying what's happening. And that's okay. That's one way of writing. There's so many ways of writing, and they are literally all valid. All. Someone said we need a prose sweet spot. Yeah, my sweet spot is somewhere in the middle. I don't I really don't like overwrought prose, but I struggle to get into things that are simply too too stripped back, honestly. Someone says she drank. Yeah, you don't even have to say she drank a cold glass of water. She stopped for a drink. You can say whatever you want. Someone say you kind of ate though. Well, thank you. I mean, I feel like it's bad because I was trying to do too much. I do feel like in general, I'm not the worst writer in the world in terms of knowing how to string together things that sound like writing. It's just, if anybody ever wrote about a character drinking a glass of water with this level of pretentiousness, I would immediately DNF their book. I'm not going to lie to you. I would just be like, okay, I can't do this because what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? So I'm glad I learned something new today. Thank you, chat. And D'Angelo, happy to help. Happy to help. Prose is truly the icing on the cake. And sometimes icing is like a rich sort of, I don't know icing types, but other times it's not as nice. And this is why I don't write, because I actually can't think of words on recall to save my actual life. I really, really can't. Someone still put it in AI and ask if it's AI. You know what? I actually will. Let me replace the M dashes with actual M dashes. And then I'm going to put it in Pangram, which I think I was supposed to delete my account for, but I might still have. And we're going to see if it says that my human generated text is actually AI. Okay, so this should be Control V, and this should be Control V, and I'm going to Control A, Control C. And yeah, let me see if I can still log into Pangram, because I'm actually very, 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 very curious about this, because this is the tool that everybody keeps using and being like, oh, we're gonna prove that this is actually AI or whatever. Okay, enter at least 50 words. Is that at least 50 words? Oh snap, it's 46 words. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna add in some more words. I'm just going to say this was everything she wanted. Okay, check for AI. I'm so curious, man. I'm so like deeply curious. Wait, it's not working. It's not working. Hold on, chat. Let me refresh, I guess. That's 51 words, buddy. Okay. It was half empty, half full. I don't know. Okay, I put 57 words. It's working. Okay, great. It says, we believe that this document is fully human written. So, hey, at least I didn't get false flagged this time. It does say the confidence is low, though, which isn't good. That's saying that there is a chance it could have been AI generated. But yeah, I didn't get clocked this time, even though I did write something that was intentionally stupid. Oh man, someone says the AI knows you don't like it. So bad. I hate literature. I hate writing, and I hate words. I hate how ridiculous you can be with them. I really, really can. Someone said it's the M dashes. Yeah, I don't know. Something about this probably, if I replaced it, it could push it into AI text, but I would probably need to go for longer. In fact, I honestly wonder if it's because I wrote this like half empty, half full thing. It's like not wanting to clock it because it's too messy of a construction. Stupid. Anyways, I don't care that my point didn't work this time. Don't trust these tools. It could have just as easily said it was AI. Who knows what kind of arcane nonsense it operates off of. And with that, I think I will leave for today. I had a lot of fun. Someone said if I ever finish my book, D'Angelo will flag it for DNF, and that's okay. No, listen. You got to put me in the right headspace. If you open your book with a very high lyrical register, I will be okay. Probably. The problem is if I read a book and it is largely workmanlike prose, and then I suddenly encounter a passage that has a very high lyrical register, incredibly overwrought, ornate, and purple prose, that is when I start to... It's jarring. It's just a little bit jarring to me. Anyways, goodbye, everybody. I love everything, and I will be back probably